All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? Hour one, Jon and Jim with you for 3 hours. This will be the Padres postgame show edition of Jon and Jim, a bit of a wrap-up show when the game goes final, and it's heading in the right direction if you're a Padres fan. As Jim just told you, 4-0 in the eighth inning. We will hear from Mike Schill. We'll probably hear from him at some point this hour. We'll also catch up with Mark Ziegler this hour on the NBA draft. He wrote about Jaden Ledee, Keyshawn Johnson. So Mark Ziegler, who's just such a good resource for Aztec basketball fans, he will join us coming up at 3:30. And then the rest of the show, we're going to react to what we're seeing this week down at Petco Park. It's amazing in sports what a day or two can mean. I mean, who would have ever thought, Jim, we'd have these conversations over the last 24 or 48 hours? Bench is clear, Jerks and Profar walk-offs. Nationals had a 10th inning lead on Monday. I mean, it was 2 days ago that the Padres are down 6-3 in the 10th inning, like we just said during the fusion. And Jerks and Profar walks off, and now like the rest is kind of history. And maybe this has changed the direction of their season. So from walking off from 3 runs down in the 10th inning to the fireworks, so to speak, yesterday, where Profar is hit and there's ejections and the bench is clear, to Dylan Cease today. We've been waiting for the team to go on a run, Jim, and they're finally potentially in the midst of it. If they win today, they're 7-1 in their last 8 games. But again, over 162, it's amazing the twists and turns that can happen. And these last 3 days could be, we'll see. I mean, defining for the Padres moving forward, the way they've played and the way this is all played out.
Well, they are on a roll right now.
Yeah.
They are in the middle of it. I look at the final game of the road trip versus Philadelphia when you're staring on the barrel of an 0-6 road trip.
Is that what it was?
0-6 road trip.
Yeah.
Because they lost 5 in a row. And they had that horrible loss the night before where they had the lead. Robert Suarez blows his first save of the year on 4 straight hits by the Phillies. And you're like, this is it. I mean, this just feels like the low point now of the season. And Matt Waldron goes out there. He shoves against the Phillies. He outpitches Ranger Suarez, who is right now the best pitcher in the National League. And then they just go on this roll with the next night they have a walk-off versus the Brewers. They take 2 or 3. Jackson Merrill continues to be a stud. You lose Fernando Tatis Jr. You lose, or at least you don't get back, Yu Darvish. But it doesn't stop them. They take 3 of 4. And then this series happens, and it's like, all right, this is the moment. This is the part of your season where it's like, okay, we're going to start playing our best baseball right now to finally, hopefully, get themselves a little bit of distance away in the positive direction from 500. If they win today and they sweep the Nationals, they'll be 3 games over 500.
Ties the
season high. And then you get the moment last night, which I would argue is, you could say, the moment of Manny's Padres tenure, just because of how impactful it was. And then Jerks and Profar answers with the grand slam in that game. The Nationals look like complete fools with everything that they tried to do. And then the explanations after the game were even more foolish. I don't know, John. That game last night was pure cinema. It was the game of the year so far. And it was one of the most enjoyable Padres games that I've watched since.
Say, though, a little bit like what we're talking about Fusion with Aaron, where it's like it's a lot of noise and it is good theater. But truth be told, we're not having a conversation about yesterday if not for what Profar did the night before. I mean, they hadn't overcome a 3-run extra inning deficit since their first season, as we said yesterday, 1969.
It's a long time ago.
If they don't win Monday, then Tuesday's nowhere near as impactful, and there are no fireworks. There is no Profar Monday celebration, which ticks off the Nats, which then ignites the Padres again on Tuesday. So you're right. I feel like the headlines will be Tuesday. The memorable game, the way Padres fans will look at it is like, oh my gosh, that Tuesday game, it was electric. The atmosphere, can you believe it? But truth be told, for me, like the nuts and bolts of it, what actually mattered was what they did Monday. To me, that really set this thing off. And I'm with you. Beating Ranger Suarez, you can go back and back and back on this. But for me, what really maybe changed the trajectory, we'll see. Seasons are long. We don't know what they're going to do on the road. Who knows what even happens here? They lead 4-0 in the 8th inning. But I think that if not for Monday, I think the whole thing feels different, to be honest with you. But Monday triggers Tuesday, which gets us here, which is where the Padres are playing some of the best baseball in the majors right now and some of the best home baseball as well. Who would have ever thought that? They've turned into an elite team at home over the last 2 homestands.
They have. It's a bandbox, Petco Park. They're
Scoring runs,
hitting homers left and right. Manny Machado is finally heating up. It's probably time to say like he's hot. I know that I've been continuously saying he's like lukewarm. He's like medium hot. He's not scorching hot. I think you could probably say now that's kind of over with. I'll say he's hot. He's hot. The oven is fully turned up and it's reached 420 degrees. He is hot.
Mm-hmm.
Jurickson Profar has been hot. He's also been like amazing this season for everything that he's done. I think the stat that has blown me away the most is, what Jurickson Profar's done this year, John, with the bases loaded?
I do, because I told you last night.
I know. And I'm just,
yeah.
I'm also asking the listeners out there. It's incredible. He has come to the plate with the bases loaded, John, 6 times. And listeners, this is what he has done in those 6 at-bats. All right. 3-run double. Grand slam. 3-run double. 3-run double. 2-run single.
Oh, what happened there? 2-run single?
That was weak.
Oh, gosh.
And then grand slam last night.
Was it 19 RBIs?
19 RBIs in 6 plate appearances with the bases loaded this year. 6 for 6. That stat is incredible.
The only other player to do it in the last 50 years is Albert Pujols.
Is that good?
So, I mean, he's just on a complete bender, like a whole season that you never want to end. Like
the dream
when this season eventually does end, no matter how it ends, in the postseason, outside of it, making a run, not making a run, Jurickson Profar is going to want to keep this thing going for eternity, because there's no guarantees that he ever does it again. There's no guarantees as we sit here right now he's even back in 2025. It's a whole nother conversation. I would say, how on earth could you not have him back in 2025, knowing everything you know about 2023, and then like the juxtaposition of 2024 with Jurickson Profar? But like everything's going their way right now. And we spent so much time Monday, Jim. Fernando Tatis Jr., how are you going to overcome it? Still a story, of course. Yu Darvish, how are you going to overcome it? Still a massive story. Bogarts, Darvish, Musgrove, whatever. But you can kind of put it on the back burner when the team consistently wins. I said yesterday, it's like, hey, you go out on a Saturday night and you got all kinds of work to do for Monday, but you're not worried about Monday on Saturday night. And I feel like that's deja vu. Like every single day here has been like that for the Padres. They're not worrying about the future. They're not worrying about the other shoe to drop. They're just playing good, consistent baseball right now. And in this National League, Jim, like you said, you play well for another week or so, and you've put yourself in a good spot where you don't have to worry about every day looking at the standings and, oh, did we gain a half game or lose a half game? You go 9-1 over a 10-game stretch in the National League this year. You've put yourself in a position where you should feel good about where you stand, is what I would say.
See, I know a couple of days here, a lot of people have been like, how are they going to overcome this? And kind of worried. Like, I don't know. I never felt that way. I said, look, you got to overcome this, and teams do this all the time. Like, this is not something new here. I don't think that by losing Fernando Tatis Jr., which is a big loss, and also not having Yu Darvish come back, and then his elbow problems potentially, and Joe Musgrove's issue. Like, yeah, don't get me wrong, those are all problems, but this is what teams and good teams face all the time. It's a
lot, though, isn't it?
It's a lot, but they also have a lot still. I'm not saying like Dylan Cease, Matt Waldron, Michael King, all 3 of those guys, including Dylan Cease today, have pitched really well of late. Okay, you have an MVP caliber player right now in Jurickson Profar. Manny's getting hot, or he is hot. You got Jake Cronenworth, who has had a bounce back, borderline career year so far. You also have Luis Ariz, who is the hit king. You have Jackson Merrill, who has vaulted his way up to potentially the best center fielder in the National League. Like, you have enough here.
Agreed, but I just under the premise of they'll go as far as the core takes them.
Well, yes,
that's where it was, but they've changed that. They've changed that narrative by getting contribute. It's almost like they're actually going to go as far as Kyle Higashioka and Jackson Merrill take them, because and Donovan Solano. I mean, these guys have all had meaningful moments. Of course, Manny Machado has had meaningful moments. Fernando Tatis Jr. as well. Yu Darvish, etc. But it is amazing that you can overcome having half your payroll on the IL tied up in 4 players. And I'm not saying they're not going to skip a beat because I have no idea. And this is just a moment in time. This is a small subsection of a season, whether it's these last 8 said yesterday, I don't think you need to do this from now until October 1st. I think you need to do this until you get healthier and until AJ Preller makes moves as you approach the trade deadline. And in the time being, they got it all under control. I don't think they're worried in the clubhouse, is my point, based on the way they're playing. And it's amazing that's where they are.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I think they're in the mentality of like, all right, next man up.
Right.
And sometimes it doesn't work. A lot of times it doesn't work. In this case, next man up, they're getting it done. And over the weekend, I forget when I said it, but a team that overcomes injuries and a team that isn't the superstar super team that overcomes some issues or whatever. Like Jerson Profar is not a guy that is going to be a Hall of Famer. He's not a guy that is a perennial All-Star. He's having an All-Star MVP season, but it just he doesn't even have the look of a guy that Mike Trout has or Aaron Judge.
Of course not.
He's the underdog.
Yep.
He's the underdog. You got a lot of these guys, Donovan Solano, underdogs. Jake Cronenworth. Like this team right now, the way they're constructed, they have enough to get it done, I feel like. And when they keep winning games like this, they're just going to become more lovable, more likable. And it is a complete 180 from last year's team when a lot of people despise that team, not because of the players on it, but how the players played and how they acted and how they went about their business in the clubhouse with saying that we quit and a lot of turmoil and just back and forth BS nonsense that this team doesn't do.
How about, it's such a good point. How about last year, all the, hey, we quit in Seattle quotes. Through this year, within the last 24 hours, we've heard Manny Machado say we've never been more united as a team than now. He's been here 6 years. He said that. And Jeremiah is trying to say, I die on the mound for this team. Those are actual quotes,
I know,
which are complete 180s. And by the way, Jerkson Profar last night, basically unprovoked, saying, I love Mike Schilt. We love Mike Schilt. That we love that he has our back. That's what he said. So we love he has our back. Whether we love what he says all the time or not, it doesn't matter. He's trying to appease his clubhouse. Jeremiah Estrada, I would die on the hill for that. And Manny Machado said, we've never been more united than now. Does that have value? I think it does.
Well, it has a lot to do with, I'm sure they're probably already feeling that way, but it's even more emphasized when you have moments like last night. When you have moments like last night where you see how everybody's coming together on the united front.
Yep.
And then when Manny has that moment, like it just feels and it felt at the time so impactful, more than just a 2-run home run. It felt way more than that. It was consecutive pitches, right? It wasn't like we had to wait out a 15 pitch at bat. It was boom, Profar gets hit on purpose. Boom, Manny hits a 2-run homer. He's walking up the first base line. He is like, I mean, just full on, like, just I'm the effing man right now. The entire team's top of the dugout.
Like it's college baseball. They all come out of the dugout to congratulate him.
He's not really even like celebrating a lot.
Right.
It's more of a Kobe. And I said this last time on the wrap-up show. It's like a Kobe, like, I got this.
Yeah.
And that's how Manny kind of presented himself last night. And I freaking loved it. And I've never been more pumped up for a Manny moment than last night, honestly.
What have we said since the day they signed him as a free agent that like they go as he goes, and we're seeing it play out firsthand right now?
Yes, that's it.
He really did struggle for a good period of time this year, obviously, and then got to 500 in spite of his play.
Mm-hmm.
And now he has played better. Remember, ever since he called himself out, another credit to Manny and another good quote, ever since he called himself out in Philadelphia, said, I will literally tear my elbow again to get this thing right. Ever since that moment, they're 7-1. They're 7-1 since that moment. Manny is hitting the ball every single day, whether it's home runs or not. Yesterday, massive moment. But today, multiple hits. So
now they're impactful hits, too.
Exactly. So it's like, if you've got Manny pointed in the right direction, you have a good team. And it doesn't happen every single day.
He just do it again.
Kyle Higashioka is on a complete bender, has hit a grand slam for the scorching hot Padres in the 8th inning to give them an 8-0 lead.
No mercy.
It is unbelievable. I mean, this is going to be a series that you have to look back on and say it's an impact series. How could it not be? I mean, this feels like a huge series for the Padres. Kyle Higashioka has hit 2 home runs today. He has the same number of home runs that Manny Machado this year. I mean, he's on a complete bender too.
Oh, man.
It's just like everything's working right. You lose Campy, Higashioka is better than him.
By the way, I see someone in our chat said poor Nationals. No poor Nationals. Exactly. Screw the Nationals.
They brought this on themselves.
They did this to themselves. They made their bed. They got to sleep in it. All right. They're the one that instigated this whole thing by crying and whining about how Profar was celebrating the other night when you couldn't hold a 3-run lead in the 10th inning. This is your fault. And then you have the balls to try to start something last night with your catcher like getting in the face of Jerks and Profar. And Manny's like, step aside, child. Like, no.
Right.
And then you throw at him. And then, like, just you have winker blown kisses. Like, no, you did this to yourself. Exactly. Bunch of babies, bunch of losers. You did this to yourself. It was 100% intentional last night, what you did. If you don't think so, just listen to their manager speak after the game last night because he admitted it pretty much. And now today, step on their throats, end this game. And that's what I said the other night. Do not let up.
And they obviously, I mean, it is amazing. I mean, the Nationals, you could argue that, again, I think the Padres already had the makings of a team that was dealing with adversity and resilient. And then, like, was it Profar that said it or Machado last night? Like, don't poke the bear. And that's what the Nationals have done. It's only like reignited the Padres, who already had, again, the makings of a team that was capable of overcoming deficits and doing things that they weren't doing a year ago. And now they're all on the same page and they're all pointed in the same direction. Again, I don't think any of it happens without Jerks and Profar on Monday night. I don't think we're having this conversation. If Profar flies out to right on Monday night, I have no clue what would have happened yesterday or today, but he didn't. And then it changed the trajectory of the series. And I mean, think about it. If they lost Monday night, they would have been behind the Nationals in the standings.
Now they just swept them. And they're, 3.5 games?
And they're 3.5 games better. It's amazing what can happen over the course of any one game or any one series. And now we'll see if they can take some of this momentum with them to the road in Boston. Oh, by the way, they have an off day tomorrow for the first time since like ever. They've played 26 games in the last 27 days. A very deserved off day for the Padres. And you look at what they have to come, and they got a lot of off days in there, chances to get guys healthier. So it has the makings of just keep going in the direction you're going, and things are going to be all right. That's what I would say.
And you have a road trip here, John, where I'm not going to step over myself because I said a couple of weeks ago or even a week ago, like every road trip, every game, every series, like there's no like, hey, they should beat these guys and blah, 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 because of how the Padres are playing. But now the Padres are hot.
Yep.
And you're going to a place where, 2 places actually, where they're not good home teams in the Red Sox
Correct.
And the Texas Rangers, who the Rangers are having a complete hangover season from the World Series last year. They have a lot of injuries, a lot of problems. They're just not a good baseball team at all. Same with the Red Sox. They're average at best. Please don't trip up here. Please continue this. Please go on the road and continue good baseball and play good baseball and win series here. Because the last thing anybody wants is
give it all back.
To give it back from all of the good things that you have done over the last week and a half.
Yeah, you're 100% right. And I would say I don't even need to get greedy here. Just don't give it back. And what I mean by that is split series. So like come back and win half of your road games and you're in fine shape. I'll take more than that. Everyone would take more than that. But don't have that Mets sweep, right, at Citi Field. Or don't go 1-5 like you did on the last road trip. Go 3-3 or better. And you're in fine shape.
Don't get swept like you did against the Angels. Don't get swept like you did against the Rockies.
Exactly. Prove to us you're different than the team we saw as recently as just a couple of weeks ago at Citi Field. All right, Mark Ziegler is going to join us on the other side. The NBA draft will get underway in about 90 minutes. Jaden LeDee, should he expect to hear his name called at some point between now and the end of the draft tomorrow? What about Keyshawn Johnson and others. Mark Ziegler on the other side. Then when this game goes final, as they head to the ninth inning, we will hear from Mike Schill, Padres manager, within the hour and react to a Padres likely sweep. They lead 8-0 heading to the ninth inning. But Mark Ziegler from the UT on tonight's NBA draft, its impact on former San Diego State players, coming up next on Jon and Jim. All right, Padres about to go final. We'll hear from Mike Schill coming up later this hour. But up next, Mark Ziegler from the UT on the NBA draft. Jaden Ledee, Keyshawn Johnson about to kick off. Mark Ziegler joins us next.
This update's brought to you by Staples Stores. Padres on the verge of sweeping the Washington Nationals as they're up 8-0 top of the eighth inning. Kyle Higashioka has 2 home runs today, including a grand slam. 2 home runs and 6 RBIs for him today. And tonight is the NBA draft with the Atlanta Hawks having the number 1 overall pick. Staples can print anything you need to move your business forward, like banners, flyers, signs, and catalogs, some even on the same day. And now at Staples, save up to $50 on your print purchase. Offer ends 7/6. Visit staples.com/print for details. Boost your business with Staples, your local print and marketing expert.
All right, NBA draft is tonight. We'll get you back to Mexico where the Padres and Nationals are about to go final, and we'll hear from Mike Schill when this game ends as well. But the draft is tonight, and there's interest here locally because you got a couple of former Aztecs. Little Keyshawn Johnson potentially hoping to hear their name called between now and the end of the draft tomorrow. If not, signing hopefully as undrafted free agent. So Mark Staker, who covers the Aztecs for the UT, back with us right now on Jon and Jim. He's been writing about this. In fact, he wrote about it in today's Union Tribune. So, Mark, we appreciate it. Well, let's start with Jaden. How do you see it? As they always say, team. What do you see? Do you think Jaden has a realistic shot to be drafted between now and the end of the draft, or is it more likely he signs as an undrafted free agent? And thanks for having me.
It's hard to say. I mean, on the surface, a month ago, I would have said no chance at all. But he gets an invite to work out. And it went from 3 to 6 to 8, and then he finished, I think it's at 11. And so it shows you that there's a lot of interest. He's been performing pretty consistently at every one. And there might be a team out there that's looking for something, something that sort of fits his unique skill set that he offers. And they pull the trigger late to draft. But, you have to look at it as it's got to be a team that likes him, and it matches up with a part of the draft, or the portion of the second round, where it would be, who's a flyer to take him. If the team is drafting 35th, I don't think they're going to expend that draft pick on Jaden, thinking they could probably sign him as undrafted free agent. If you're drafting 57, 58, or 56, somewhere in the mid upper 50s, yeah, maybe you take a shot at him because you don't want someone else to try to sign him. But if I have to give a yes or no, I'd probably say he won't be drafted, but he'll sign very quickly with a team.
So if that were the case, what about Keyshawn Johnson? If both of them get drafted, who do you think goes first, Keyshawn or Jaden?
I think Keyshawn will. Keyshawn really has been moving up onto some draft boards. I want to say moving up on people's mock drafts, but he's moved into most of them. Most people have him in the 52. There's been a lot of speculation that Golden State likes him, and they draft 52nd. I've seen some that have him as high as 39 or 43. My guess is he'll probably be in the 50s, the low 50s, high 40s.
So when you think about Keyshawn, and again, there's a difference obviously between college basketball and the NBA. Brian Dutcher talks about it, but he had such a dominant. I'm talking about Jaden. Excuse me, I might have said Keyshawn. I mean, Jaden was so dominant this past year, power forward of the year, one of the best players and one of the best teams in the country at San Diego State. Is the reason he may not get drafted solely because of his age, or how much of a contributing factor is his age? Let's say he was 2 years younger. Would he be drafted?
Well, there's some people in his camp that think that if he was, 3 or 4 years younger, he might be a lottery pick in this draft. You have to remember this is a pretty weak draft in the sense that there's not a lot on the top end, and then there's a whole lot of players from, let's say, 10 through 90 that are pretty close and even. And that's where it gets really tricky in trying to project it. So with that said, I think it's going to be a crazy draft tonight and tomorrow night. I just think a lot's going to happen, and there are going to be trades, and there's going to be some selections of guys you didn't expect. So there's always that possibility. But I think that, the issue is partly his age. He's really the oldest guy in that draft pool. He's going to turn 25 in July. He spent 6 years in college. He really just got good and started putting up numbers in his 6th year. And I just don't think there's been a player like that. And I don't think these teams are so used to drafting 18 and 19-year-olds, projecting what they're going to look like, have a development plan for them. Okay, when they're 22, we think we can get some, quality minutes out of them in the NBA, or we'll cut ties. I just think they don't know what to do with Jaden. They see the talent, they see the skill set, they just don't know what to do because of that advanced age. Second part of it is, I think his skill set doesn't maybe translate to the NBA as well as Keyshawn's, who's much more of an open, flowing player. Jaden showed he can shoot the ball, but he's much more of a plodding, physical player. And in the modern NBA, there aren't as many guys that look like him and play like him as there are guys who play like Keyshawn.
Last time we talked to you, Mark, we were talking about Mawot Mag, and he did not end up coming here. So where are Brian Dutcher and the Aztecs going from here after losing out on Mawot Mag, or are they not going to look to fill that spot they potentially could get here?
Well, the one thing that if you look through their history that they have not done is what they call stacking. And that means you just go get a whole bunch of guys at one position, and, you see who wins the battle in the preseason. And if they're really quality players, they're sitting on the bench, they're pouting, they don't care. Chemistry is such an important component to the way they put together a team. They don't want to have that. That's why you see Brian Dutcher not using the 13th scholarship. I think last year was the first year that he'd actually used it in all his years as head coach. And that's really one of the reasons. He doesn't want to have too many guys. He really only wants to have 9 or 10 and have a rotation. He wants other guys either as strictly a developmental player or as a red shirt. And so I think the feeling is if they can get a guy who is good enough to start and play a lot of minutes, who's a veteran, they'll certainly be interested in and take him. If they can't find that fit, and it's just going to be stacking at that position and putting a guy who maybe isn't quite as good in front of these two stud freshmen they have, redshirt freshman Magoon Gloss and incoming freshman Farrell Compton at the 4 spot, I don't think they're going to do it. And so I think they're being really, really patient. Their names pop up, guys pull out of are starting to, not a lot of them, but every now and then you hear a guy who had committed to a team and decided, I'm not going to go, whether because they took somebody else at their position and they stacked and they said, I'm not going to go fight and possibly not play, or for other reasons. They'll be interested and they'll be involved. They have that scholarship, but I don't think they feel pressure internally to just go take a guy to take a guy, if that makes any sense. So I don't think there's any great rush. The right guy comes along, they'll grab him. If not, they're going to be fine with what they have.
Mark Ziegler from the UT with us right now on Jon and Jim. So since it is draft night, I'm curious to get your thoughts on current Aztecs heading into 24-25 that may have draft prospects, so to speak. Like when I think about the last handful of years, we kind of knew Jalen McDaniels was on the NBA radar. We kind of knew Keyshawn Johnson could develop into an NBA player, maybe even with Jaden heading into this past year as well. Are there multiple players, or is there a player currently at San Diego State that is going to be on draft radars into the future as well, in your opinion?
I think there are several players that are going to be on the radars, maybe not next season, but the season after. Obviously, Magoon Gloss, if you have a guy who's 7 feet, can shoot, run the floor, block shots, handle the ball, pass, good feel for the game, they're always going to look at a guy like that. Even if they don't even have the numbers that match it quite yet, they're looking at potential. They're looking down the road, and just there aren't very many human beings who have those kind of skills and coordination. So he's certainly going to be one. We'll see what happens with Farrell Compton, how he develops. I mean, he's a guy like JT Toppin, similar skill set coming out of high school. Now, does that translate as quickly as it did with JT Toppin in New Mexico? And he probably would have been drafted had he not decided to go back into college and take it, big NIL. And so I think there's going to be a guy like that. And I think a guy like Miles Bird, I mean, if he grows into his body, he can stay healthy. He has the length, the skill set, the speed, the spring, the passing ability, the ability to handle the ball, that, someone like that could be looked at. There's a couple other guys that Nick Boyd from Florida Atlantic, just don't know. I mean, he hasn't played at San Diego State. He had a different kind of role last year. We'll have to wait and see on those guys. Reese Waters, I think, is a guy that, the NBA had their eye on a few years ago. He's 6'6". He has an NBA body and size. But can he shoot consistently like he did in the first part of the season, or is he going to be the player that he was in the second part of the season? So there are guys, I just don't know that we can say right now, next year in the draft, this guy will be on somebody's board.
And then finally, Mark, any feel for the non-conference schedule? We know about this NIL tournament. We know Gonzaga is supposed to come back here for a home and home. There's a Cal neutral site game like they played a year ago, but this time in Northern California. Is that the bulk of the non-conference, or is there anything else that you would expect between now and whenever they announce it in a couple of months?
Well, remember the Mountain West schedule is expanding next
Yep.
year, so it's going to be 20 games. That limits them to 10 or 11 non-conference games. You just named off 5 games. That would give them 5 or possibly 6. One of those is going to be a non-D1 that they always play just to kind of slot in for more timing than anything else, to get more people down the bench a chance to play. So that gets them to 6, and now you're looking at 4 or 5 games. I really don't think they'll take another big marquee game, given that they're going to be pretty young. And yes, they want to go play anybody and everybody. It would have to be a really, really good opportunity. But I just think right now they have so much strength in their schedule. And last year they had a veteran team. They knew they could handle it. This year, it's you're asking for trouble if you schedule too much. So I would suspect that we'll see 4 kind of bye games. Interesting thing to me is to see if they renew a series with a local team, whether that's UCSD or USD. At this point, I don't see that happening, but it could materialize if the schedules match up.
Yeah, one thing I know is it will not be on the campus of UC San Diego in 2024-25, based on what we saw last year. Mark, always appreciate it. We're looking forward to this draft over the next couple of nights. Great reporting and writing in the Union Tribune for our listeners, and thanks for hopping on as always.
Yeah, I just tell people I would watch tonight. I think it's not going to be one of these drafts where you see these mock drafts and it's 1 through 10 and it goes that way. I think there's a chance it could be crazy.
Yeah,
maybe not, but it has the makeup to possibly be really interesting, good viewing tonight.
No doubt, we agree. Thank you, Mark. We'll do it again soon.
All right, talk to you.
All right, draft in 90 minutes. Padres hold on. Who would have thought?
What?
Kyle Higashioka's grand slam was the difference, because the Nats scored 5 runs in the 9th, had the tying run in the on-deck circle. Robert Suarez was up before a ground ball double play ended it. We'll react to a series sweep for the Padres on the other side and hear from Mike Schild. The Padres rolling. They've won 7 of 8. They're heading for Boston to begin a 6-game road trip. Full reaction on the other side. Stay with us on Jon and Jim. Padres sweep the Nats. We react. Plus, hear from Mike Schilt next. All right. So, as expected, Kyle Higashioka picked our guys as we knew, of course. And the Padres allow 5 runs in the 9th and needed the grand slam. Tying was in the on-deck circle. Who cares? All's well that ends well. They sweep the Nationals. They finally have an off day. They're going to Boston. Vibes are good. 3 games over 500. Now, we've been here. They've been in this exact spot in Kansas City. 3 games over. Things are going good. They're playing good on the road.
Yeah.
They're up in the 9th.
Yeah.
And then the wheels turned again.
Yeah.
So is it going to be different this time around or not is basically the question of the season. If you're a Padres fan, that's just the question you ask yourself every single day. Is this something that's real and is going to continue on or not? Because right now it feels very real if you're watching the Padres, how they're finding ways to win each and every day, seemingly.
Yeah, they're playing their best baseball this season at this very moment.
Absolutely.
We are in the middle of it. Hopefully it still continues and it doesn't end starting on Friday because they actually have an off day tomorrow, which is going to be finally. And even if they use Robert Suarez in the 9th inning, it wouldn't have bothered me because of the off day tomorrow. And
I agree.
It's not a big deal. There's literally nothing to complain about in the series at all. Everything went the Padres' way. The Padres went out there and shut the Nationals up. They had every big moment that they were in, they delivered. Starting pitching was good. Bullpen still shaky. I get it. That's a problem. That's nothing new here, right? But all in all, fantastic homestand, backing up their previously fantastic homestand. They're now 11-3 in their last 14 games at Petco.
Correct. 5-2 homestand followed up by 6-1
with
homestand.
4 walk-offs.
That's why what you just said is really interesting. All I care about is the find ways, win games, come together as a team. They don't have to be perfect. They don't need the perfect roster. There's time for the roster to improve. There's time to get you Darvish back. There's time to get Fernando Tatis Jr. back. There's time to upgrade your bullpen. There's no better time than now to come together as a group, which, by the way, this is who they've been. There has not been one point this year where I said, this group is teetering. They're turning on each other. I don't know why. If it's Schilt, if it's the group, if it's Profar, if it's go to Korea and spending 10 days together to start the year, but they've never teetered as a group this year.
I hope and I'm pretty sure this is kind of what happened, is that the players that returned from last year's team, like that can't happen again. Like there was
They learned.
like it was a definite learning experience. It was a definite look in the mirror type of season for a lot of these guys. Because if you come back this season and have the same attitude or get in the same funks and the same tendencies that you got into last year as far as like clubhouse dynamic goes, then this thing could have gone off the rails this season. And this is a very important year. So credit to the guys that were on the team last year, that are on the team this year, that said, yeah, no, we're not going to do any of that crap again. We're not going to have what we had last year invade this clubhouse. This is a new clubhouse. This is a new team, and we're going to act accordingly. We have a lot of new faces in here, by the way, as well. We have some familiar faces coming back, like Jurickson Profar. We have some youth injected in this team with Jackson Merrill. We have some trades that gave us life with Dylan Cease and Luis Arise. And all of that bundled together, it's been a rocky road this year. It's been a roller coaster. And frankly, 3 games over 500 doesn't automatically equal World Series. But definitively we can say they are in the midst of their best baseball this season, and it's not even debatable.
They're actually in the midst of their best meaningful baseball non-postseason since the first half of 2022. So 2023 September doesn't count. We all agree. There are 15 games under 500. This is meaningful. And 2022, until the postseason, we were questioning whether they're going to make the postseason or what were they going to do once they got there, because they played so well early and then kind of treaded for 4 months, 500 baseball before winning the postseason. It just feels like we've been waiting for this for a while, like 250 games going back to 2023. And finally, it's happening in front of our eyes. And again, this also speaks to this. We get so carried away in baseball with big time signings and names where it truly is 26 men. And that's where a Profar is so meaningful in what he's doing. A Solano is so meaningful. Jeremiah Estrada. Like you get caught up with like the flashy, shiny objects. Oh, Juan Soto, Xander Bogaerts. Truth is, yeah, those players matter, but so does the middle of your bullpen. So does your 8 and 9 hitters like Kyle Higashioka. Like it all matters. We always criticize AJ Preller over the years for not completing a roster. He's got a group that isn't just top heavy. He's got guys contributing like Kyle Higashioka, like Jeremiah Estrada and others, Donovan Solano, that have put this team in a position where they are enjoying a lot of success right now.
Yeah, building a complete roster has always been Preller's problem. Finding the diamonds in the rough has been Preller's problem, because it feels like there's always this urge and need to go out and get the flashy name or make the big time trade or whatever the case may be. And it's Preller putting these guys in position and on this team, but it's also up to the players to go out and perform and do it. And a lot of the players that Preller's brought in here that were to round out a roster or be a guy to step in if someone went down with an injury, those guys have the blame on them as well, the players, by not performing here. You can't say that about majority of the guys that AJ Preller has brought in this season. Those guys have stepped up. When their number has been called, they produce. I mean, Eggy Rosario today had a big-time double.
They did, yeah.
Right? And Kyle Higashioka, he's coming in the year as a backup catcher. Campy goes down. Higgy steps in, and he just becomes the best offensive catcher in baseball for this month. Like Donovan Solano, he comes over here literally on his couch. Xander Bogaerts goes down with an injury. Donovan Solano comes in the lineup, and he produces. And he is more than adequate enough to be out there every single day while Xander's out. Jackson Merrill comes up. You know what he's done. Jurickson Profar's come over. You know what he's done. Like, credit to Preller, man. Credit to Preller, but also credit to the players. Credit to the players for their numbers called, they produce. And that's been a problem here with the others on this team. And then the superstars also not performing. And you've never had a situation where the whole thing is meshed together. You have the superstars and the others performing for 2022. But even then, Soto didn't really perform the second half of that season. Like, this feels the closest since 2022 in the postseason in the last 5 years that this team has felt like close to completing together.
The reason I really like this group is I don't think it's the best team, but I think it's a really good group. So, like, I think they'll have enough to deal with all the adversity and still come their way. I'm sorry, you lose Fernando Tatis Jr. matters. You lose you, Darvish, it matters. But they're going to overcome it or have because they're the right group right now. On the other side, Mike Schilt, speaking with the media, we will share that with you on the other side. Mike Schilt following a series sweep to kick off hour 2 of John and Jim. Plus, we're giving away tickets to see New Kids on the Block July 7th at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater. You can hear from Mike Schilt on the other side on John and Jim.
This update's brought to you by Staples Stores. Padres finish off the sweep today as they beat the Nationals 8-5. They're now 3 games over 500. They have an off day tomorrow before they'll start a road trip through Boston and Texas this upcoming weekend. And tonight is the NBA draft. 5 p.m. is when the draft starts. And the Atlanta Hawks have the #1 overall pick. Staples can print anything you need to move your business forward, like banners, flyers, signs, and catalogs. Some even on the same day. And now at Staples, save up to $50 on your print purchase. Offer ends 7/6. Visit staples.com/print for details. Boost your business with Staples, your local print and marketing expert.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? Hour 2 of Jon and Jim. We're giving away New Kids on the Block tickets this hour, July 7th, North Island Credit Union Amphitheater. We're about to hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt following another series win for the Padres, a 6-1 homestand. All the fireworks of the last 3 days, culminating in a series sweep of the Washington Nationals. Now, finally, a day off. They'll travel east for Boston. They will play Friday night, kicking off a 3-game series against the Boston Red Sox. 7-1 in their last 8 games. It feels like a while ago, and it wasn't, that they lost Fernando Tatis Jr. to this leg injury, this stress reaction, stress fracture. Nobody's forgotten about it, but you can put it to the side when you play well. I mean, think about the difference. Sweep the series or get swept. It's all we'd be talking about. They're injured. They've lost Tatis. They've lost 3 straight. The sky is falling. It's amazing what one series can do for a team. See if they can keep building on it moving forward. We'll hear from Mike Shildt in a moment.
Yeah, it's either step up or, I mean, you're going to have to deal with a lot of tough moments if you can't overcome the injuries to your team. And frankly, the injuries, while it's big name players and you have 4 guys on your IL right now that make a total of close to $1 billion?
Yeah, 80 a year.
80 a year, but overall, their overall contracts, 100 to, it's a lot of money that's on the IL.
Their contracts are big enough we could build a hospital just for those guys.
Just for those guys.
You're not kidding.
They have enough. They can compete. They've shown it. The Nationals are a pretty decent team. I don't know if they're going to make the postseason this year.
Probably not.
Probably not, but they have a lot of good young talent. And they came in here, if they had a good series, they would have overtaken the Padres in the standings. But now the Padres said, okay, Nationals, you go sit in the corner over there for a while. The big boys are going to take care of this. And it was a fun series. It probably, to me, was the most enjoyable series of the season just because of all the drama that happened and the dramatics and the big moments and the back and forths. And then the Padres get a sweep. I mean, it's just, they've been playing really good baseball, and now they need to keep this on the road.
I mean, even at home, I mean, what we were saying about this team a month ago, why can't they hit at home? Why can't they win it? They're erasing narratives each and every series. Can't beat lefties? Well, yeah, they can. Look at this series. Can't win at night? Well, yeah, they can. Look at what they've done this series. Can't win at home? Yeah, they can. They're 11-3 in their last 14 home games. So they're really erasing those narratives and turning their season around to their credit. So here was Mike Shildt. Padres win 8-5. They led 8-0 in this game. The Nationals scored 5 times in the 9th inning, but all's well that ends well. And here was Mike Shildt postgame.
Really strong homestand. Really, really nice job. Whole homestand. Obviously, 3 out of 4, and we're able to get all 3 on this series. So yeah, it's a great game. Really professional game across the board. Dylan really set the tone. Just did a lot of good things to create a lot of good, clean baseball. Dylan was fantastic for his 7. Threw multiple pitches for strikes, introduced a little bit more of the curveball, which was nice to see. Mixed in a changeup, got a few outs on the changeup, a few rollovers, threw in a little bit more, so that was good. Just in control, and of course the offense. What are you gonna say about Higgy? I mean, what a day! Big swing to get us on the board, and I love that. How we scored in the 4th. Rosie starts the double. Higgy's looking to move him over, gets the base hit to right. Gets the wild pitch. Johnson does his job. Nice at bats by Johnson. 2 walks, a sac bunt, get him over, and then Pro gets him in. So, and then of course Higgy with the exclamation mark on the grand slam.
Yeah, sticking with him for just a moment. How big has he been to be able to do what he's done since camp? He's gone down. It seems like the more that's asked of him, the more he's able to provide on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, he's been great. He really has both sides. He's caught the ball really well. He receives great. Threw another guy out today. Him and Campy were starting to share a little bit more time. And good news is Campy's on the mend and looking to come back. But other good news is that Higgy's really taken advantage of more opportunity and done a great job for us, helping us win games.
How nice is it to be through this stretch here of 26, 27?
Yeah. So, 13 day off, 13 day off, 13 day off. Spun out of that cycle, and I think we spun out pretty well. Guys really, stepped up, played the game. A lot of grit, a lot of determination, a lot of contributions from 1 through 26, and we've had some additions to the roster that have stepped in and done a nice job as well. So, just says a lot about the club.
You mentioned it was like a professional win, and it did seem till the end there you were going to get one that didn't have a lot of drama.
Right.
How, even though it did end that way, you still won by 3. How nice was that to not have?
Yeah, I mean, it's nice. Just a clean ball game. Like I said, in control pretty much the whole way. Give them credit. They made a push at the end and, got some things going. And, Adrian got the big double play ball to end it. So it was a good ball game.
This was a series against a team close to you in the standings. On the first day of the series, you placed Tatis in the IL. You learned Darvish is going to be scratched Tuesday. To respond the way you did with the 3 wins and kind of with some of the fight and some of the emotions, like what does that say about how you guys can not just maybe sustain those injuries, but thrive in spite of them?
Yeah, it says what this is about. It's a we're going to figure it out. I talk about fairly often winners find solutions, something we've been able to do, for the most part all year, and we've had some adversity. You're going to have adversity in this game. You're going to play 162. You're going to have some trials, tribulations, some of your key guys go down. And it's really about, again, always being there for them, making sure they're feeling taken care of and valued. But, no one's going to feel sorry for us. We've got to step up and play the games and maybe figure out different ways to win.
Xander Bogaerts was taking BP pregame. Just how's he moving along, and what you make of that?
Moving along well. I mean, the point is he's moving. So he's getting some ground balls. He's been able to, do some lower half stuff, which has been good. But now he's starting to accelerate his return to play with his baseball activity, getting a few more ground balls. You might notice he got some swings a day. I didn't get a chance to get out there, but all the reports were favorable. So he's trending in a good direction.
Any chance to travel with you guys?
He'll travel with us. I mean, I think there's probably I think Boston's going to want to see him, and probably a little bit of reunion there, but he will travel with us.
I would just say, like with the Xander, like, hey, you got to race your way back. Take your time. And honestly,
You're good, bro.
Because they're playing well, and he wasn't playing well when he was healthy, that there's no rush here. They don't need Xander Bogaerts. I mean, of course, they need Fernando Tatis Jr. You can't compare Bryce Johnson to Fernando Tatis Jr. That's absurd. Xander, but I want fully healthy. I don't want the rush back. Everything's going fine right now. No need to rush back. Same thing, by the way, with Darvish, Musgrove. They're getting effective starting pitching right now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's going to continue, but nobody needs to rush back and put themselves in a position where they're not fully healthy.
The best thing that this team could do right now is just keep winning games.
I like that.
Because, all right, what a bold strategy.
Yeah. Winners find solutions.
I love that.
That's the new Jon and Jim show mantra.
Well,
well, not really.
Not really.
But I like it.
If they keep playing good baseball, and I'm not saying you have to go on a heater like they're on right now, but just play consistent, good baseball that Schulte's been preaching for this entire year and what we have been preaching for.
Mm-hmm.
You can take another week. You can slow it down a little bit. You don't have to rush to get back.
That's right.
You can take your time. I'm with you, John.
Yeah, no rushing here.
I'd much rather have a healthy Xander Bogaerts for the final 50 games of the season than try to push it to get 65 games, right? Like, same thing with Toddy.
No hurry.
45. You tell me right now, you get 45 healthy games from Tatis the remainder of the season to end the year.
55 not healthy
or 60.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, okay, look, just hold down the fort. They have enough to get it done. Guys are stepping up, which is great to see. Manny's hot. Profar's MVP level right now. He's an all-star. You have Jackson, you got Crony, you got a Luis Ariz, who, by the way, was not in the lineup because Schulte said he had a little ouchie there. He was waving his hand last night. I didn't like that.
That's because of sliding into a base, I think, right?
Yeah, didn't like that particularly. But anyway,
he's been banged up.
He has,
but he's been good.
And hopefully the off day can help him, and he's back in there on Friday. We got enough. Dylan Cease, if Dylan Cease is back to that Dylan Cease that we saw today for the foreseeable future,
might be a little early to say that. But that would go a long way.
But you get that paired with Waldron, paired with Michael King. Oh, I like that.
Like, I would say that at some point you got to like pay your dues. Like, you're going to feel the impact of not having Fernando Tatis Jr., I would say. But then again, we don't have to look that far back to remember when they didn't have Fernando Tatis Jr. for an entire year. And they were very good. So one player's not making or breaking typically, and that's where I'm with you on Tatis too. I mean, if there's any of those players that I'm quote-unquote rushing back or hoping to see soonest, it is Tatis, even though I know starting pitching matters more probably than Tatis. But I want to see Tatis. He was playing very well. With Xander, especially with all their infield flexibility, the Cronenworths, the Arises, like they got a lot of infield flexibility, Ha-Seong Kim, that there is absolutely no rush. In fact, you could argue that one of the reasons that their offense wasn't performing at a level it's performing right now is because Xander never got going when he was healthy. And again, he's only 1/9 of the lineup. It wasn't his fault, quote unquote. Their offense wasn't as good, a month and a half ago, or the team wasn't as good a month ago. But Xander's going to play when he comes back. I know. That I know. I can feel it. I sense it. You agree. He's going to play. Then knowing that, just get healthy. I'm not going to expect him to be some 300 hitter and set the world on fire. So I want to see him healthy because I know he's going to be playing basically every day when he gets back.
And it's where is he going to be playing and where is he going to be in this lineup? Because if you immediately put him in the 5th spot, that's where he has done virtually nothing. Like this team is completely different when you have like Jackson Merrill or Donovan Solano or even Cronenworth in the 5, or Manny Machado hitting 5th. It's completely different. That's why it's like, take your time, Xander. You're okay. I still think they do need him just because, I mean, you're going to take Xander. If you have Xander Bogaerts healthy, you're going to take Xander Bogaerts on your team. It's about he gets in a lot of positions where they're big time moments and he hasn't come through for this team. So that's going to be something to watch when he gets back. Can he produce? Because right now, everybody's producing.
Everyone. And
if you come back in this lineup and you are still doing what you were doing before you got injured, dude, I mean, again, the conversation, we can have it. I know they won't have it, but we can have it about like, what's the best thing for this team going forward? To stick Xander in there every single day, hit him 5th, or is it who's playing the best right now?
Right.
Who's hot? Who is giving this team what this team is looking for, which is quality at bats, coming up in a big moment, like not going 0 for 4 every night and having zero impact on the game at all.
You're right. Like, it should be as simple as that, but it's never as simple as that. And here's how we know. I hear what Manny Machado says about the team. I hear what Fernando Tatis Jr. said when he was healthy. He said, hey, we're doing all we can, and we're a little banged up, and we're excited to get Xander back. Like, when your leaders are saying that, then these guys are going to be put back into those spots. Also, organizationally, you don't sign someone for $280 million and in year 2 not play him. It's just a very bad look. Now, you're right. There may come a point. It's September, and Solano's producing off the bench, or whomever's producing off the bench, and Xander's just prolonged season-long slumping. You got to make a decision. You get into the postseason, and it's the second game of the playoffs, and you need someone to come through in the 5th inning. I'm sorry, you may have to pinch hit. Like, that's hard feelings are a part of it. It is about winning, but money talks in this game. And when guys get paid like Manny and Toddy and Soto and Bogey, that essentially seals the deal. You get paid, you play. That's kind of why you got paid, because you're going to play.
Well, also, I think the message that we have heard from this team recently is all we want to do is win.
We have heard that a lot.
Like, yep. I don't care. I'll go out there and I'll die on the mound. I just want to win.
Right.
I'll blow my arm out. I want to win.
Pitch, we don't want to play that game. They can
Yeah.
do the theatrics and the antics. We're just trying to win the game.
Yeah, I want to win. I don't
Yep.
care.
Yep.
So if that's the motto, then that's the motto going forward. Do what must be done to win at all costs,
Right.
regardless of who's up there or in a position to come through in a big moment. Do what you are asked to do and produce and find any way. Like Tyler Wade on this team, right? Honestly, John, I have zero clue what
he's
his
hitting?
stats are.
Either do I.
Zero
What do you
clue.
think he's hitting? Throw a number out.
230.
I would have said the same thing. I'll say
I didn't even guess.
I'll say I'm going to say one. I haven't looked either.
I would say 224.
I'll say 239. So 239, 230, 224. Okay.
Uh-huh.
So I'll click on it. He is hitting 242. Yeah.
Man,
Okay.
way better
So
than
we
I
were actually-
expected.
that's what we said. In the two, he's been fine. He's got a 0.1 WAR. If you heard Schilt, you'd think he had a 100. But again, it's that glue type guy
Mhm.
that's impactful in basketball, can be impactful on a 26-man roster.
Yeah.
Fills a role. Nobody has more bun hits this year than the San Diego Padres, right? Like he does the little things that contribute.
Yep. And let your big boys carry you home, like Profar and Manny and Cronenworth. And, like you do the little things right. And then your stars and big players come through. Then it all works like cohesively. Hey, I need a bunt here. Tyler, can you give me a bunt? Sorry, actually. Hey, Wadey, can you give me a bunt?
Right.
I got
Yeah.
you. I got you, Skip.
Well, how about even like, dude, seriously, like Bryce Johnson? I'll be honest with you. I have no clue who Bryce Johnson is.
Nobody knows who Bryce Johnson is.
But you're asking a guy to come up. And then we're watching, was it yesterday, Jim, or was it 2 days ago? He's coming through with like a huge moment, moving guys over in a 4-run or whatever. I don't even remember what it was. Today, like multiple walks and a sack bunt. Like guys are doing what they're asked to do. Nobody's saying Bryce Johnson hit 2 home runs. Nobody's saying Kyle Higashioka go hit 2 home runs. He just is.
Everything is clicking for this team, except for like, truthfully, their bullpen. Besides Robert Suarez,
True, but they're not really paying the price for it.
That's where I was
when's the
going
last
with
time
it.
they paid the price for it? Suarez, which was fine, blowing a lead in Philly with
Philadelphia,
Suarez.
yeah.
I am 100% cool with.
you got
He's been amazing.
Philadelphia, you got Kansas City, you've had Colorado, you had
So, okay.
Anaheim.
They blew it with their bullpen against Anaheim.
I want to say they did
Because
one
you're
of
right.
those games.
Colorado, great example.
Yeah.
5-run lead.
Kansas
Kansas City, Yuki Matsui, great example. I
And-
won't put the Suarez Philly thing on him. He's
and
been
all
great.
of the walk-offs are great. I think it's a great thing for a team to build a character.
Oh, it's huge.
But 3 of the 4 walk-offs
The
were
other teams
blown
come
leads.
back, yeah.
So like
Right. That's where you put it on the bullpen. Yeah.
that's also that's right now what I would say is to me an issue that needs to be addressed ASAP along with starting pitching. But they're managing to get through it all, which is great because you don't complain about putting a W in the win column or an extra whatever in the win column.
No, you don't. It's like, you take 3 out of 4 from Milwaukee, which was a very good team coming in, and then Milwaukee leaves here and they just won a series or maybe swept a series against the Texas Rangers. Yes, it's true they haven't played well at times against bottom feeders. I mean, we've documented it a ton.
Yeah.
Angels, Rockies, Mets, like we just talked about. But on the opposite side of the coin is they have played well against relatively good teams this year. And what I have heard from a lot of Padres fans, I kind of like this like path to walk down that, well, if you do make the postseason, you are playing good competition and they have played relatively well against good competition. So like, it's not a bad trait to be good against good. Now, it's not a good trait to be bad against bad, but it's absolutely not a bad trait to be good against good teams because seemingly or potentially they're going to play those down the line when we get into September and October. But overall, 6-1 homestand, about as good as it gets. About as good as it gets.
Nothing to complain about on this homestand.
Not one thing.
Nitpick all you want, and which we will do, which we kind of just did with the bullpen, but key contributors are coming through. This team, the vibe right now of them feels so much better than last year's team. But it is a little, you're just a little nervous because you want to, I know you're actually all in, John, but
I have been all in.
From a fan perspective, you want to dive in head first. You want to be all in. But they have shown the trip up thing, like where they trip up and they lose 4 or 5, or they lose 4 in a row, or they have a bad series versus a bad team, and you're like, what is it going to take for you guys to be consistent? And hopefully this is the moment of your year where you play consistent brand of baseball, consistent winning brand of baseball, where you have fans that don't feel like super cautious about investing or going all in.
I don't think anyone's cautious anymore, and here's the reason I say it. When you see the team win dramatically, overcome obstacles, benches clear, all the walk-off wins, it's like if you had a toe in the water, the Padres team has dove all in. I mean, look at the way they're reacting to everything. Look at the way they're
all in.
And
You convinced me.
Look at the crowd last night as an example. It's a playoff crowd on a Tuesday because of the circumstances that played out, with the benches clearing and Profar getting hit and Machado homering and Profar hitting a grand slam. The energy there was way different than a typical bobblehead night. You could have 40,000 people with people, their hands are on their, they're just sitting there. The crowd was up and animated and lively and into it all night long last night. Everyone's all in, assuming that the team is willing to go all in with them.
One of these nights was a bobblehead giveaway.
It was Tuesday night, right?
So last night.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But a lot of times it's a bobblehead night, but it's not a playoff atmosphere. We're there for the bobblehead.
True.
Where last night it's like we're there for the baseball.
You know what they did in this series too that we haven't even mentioned, and someone on our YouTube chat mentioned it, which is a great point. They beat 3 straight lefties.
We did mention it because we said they're checking off the narratives.
Oh, I must have not listened to you.
Yeah, I said can't beat lefties, check. Can't win at night, check. Can't win at home, check. Said that, check, boom, boom, check.
Boom, check.
All right.
Shilty.
On the other side, we will get to the wrap. Also, this hour, your chance to win a pair of tickets to see New Kids on the Block, July 7th at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater. Padres sweep the Nats. We're reacting right here on Jon and Jim. All right, we continue to react to a Padres series sweep of the Nationals. Plus, we have tickets to New Kids on the Block to give away this hour next.
This update's brought to you by Staples Stores. Padres sweep the Nationals as they beat them today 8-5. Kyle Higashioka had 2 home runs, 6 RBIs, a 2-run homer, and a grand slam. Padres are now 3 games over 500. They have an off day tomorrow before they start a road trip starting in Boston on Friday night. And tonight is the NBA draft, with the Atlanta Hawks having the number 1 overall pick. Staples can print anything you need to move your business forward, like banners, flyers, signs, and catalogs, some even same day. And now at Staples, save up to $50 on your print purchase. Offer ends 7/6. Visit staples.com/print for details. Boost your business with Staples, your local print and marketing expert.
By the way, quick shout out Police Fire EMS, because I had never seen anything like what happened yesterday in Del Mar Heights.
Dude.
Now, again, I know a lot of San Diegans have dealt with this, but brush fires within, like, a stone's throw of where you live is a scary proposition. You've dealt with it in Northern California, in your hometown. A lot of Californians, obviously, San Diegans have dealt with this. But what they do day in and day out to protect people, property, others put their lives at risk is truly incredible. We understand that, obviously, but when you see it firsthand, it really gives you a deeper appreciation for it. So thank you. I know that this is, in the grand scheme, very minor compared to what a lot of San Diegans and Californians have dealt with, but man, it is really remarkable to see the force that they're able to throw at like a brush fire. It was incredible. All these different jurisdictions, all these fire companies, all these helicopters, all these planes. It's really an incredible effort to keep San Diegans safe. So thank you.
Well, especially what's happened here in San Diego.
Oh, no doubt.
And Northern California, my hometown.
No doubt.
Like, they take these things very, very seriously because fires are no joke, dude.
Yeah, the alternative is unbelievable devastation.
Like, fires are ruthless.
Mm-hmm.
And when you get a brush fire anywhere and you get the temperature that it is outside, or it's going to be outside, and you add a little bit of wind to that combination.
Oh my gosh. And it's, well, what do they say? It spreads like wildfire.
Yeah. It's so, firefighters and the protocols. And I saw pictures and videos. You sent me
Dude,
stuff
it
the
was
other
a
day.
little,
like, You know,
It
it's
was surreal, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, what they do and everything. It's thank you.
All right, so still ahead this hour, your chance to win New Kids on the Block tickets. Throughout the course of the show between now and 6 p.m., much more in the Padres' very impressive homestand, 6-1. Also, we'll take a look into the NBA draft that will get underway next hour. But right now, let's get to this.
Are you surprised Alex Morgan isn't on the U.S. Olympic team?
Yes and no. She has been injured and hasn't been playing much. I know she released a statement today about it.
Yeah, saying she was disappointed but understanding, and she'll be rooting.
Yeah. I mean, it's got to be. I mean, you're probably one of, if not the most famous U.S. women's soccer players in the history of the sport, almost.
Top 3, I'm sure.
Yeah, top 3 easily.
Yeah.
But she also has been injured and not playing, and other players probably are, if you're just looking at stats and basis alone, are probably more deserving. But I mean, sure, yeah, it's a bummer that she's not there, because she probably draws a lot of fans in to watch the U.S. women's national team. In the
NWSL, the league that the Wave are in, a year ago, she had 7 goals and 5 assists. This year in 8 matches, she does not have a goal. She's had 1 assist. She's had 1 point in the NWSL this year. Like you said, she's been injured. Obviously, she's been on the national team, I want to say, for the better part of the last 15 years. So, there's probably more opportunities for younger players at this point that are performing at a higher level, potentially, than Alex Morgan is. Now, you can't make up for her experience or her skill set. She's got absurd experience. She's won at the highest level, like you said. But it'll be interesting to see how the U.S. team plays coming up this summer in Paris, but they're going to do it without Alex Morgan. Next question.
Which Padre will win the National League Player of the Month?
Dude, we were having this conversation on social media, because there's actually a lot of good answers.
The 2 most likely are
Profar and
Merrill. Merrill had an 8 home run stretch, 7 and 10, or 8 and 11,
7 and 8, I think. He had a lot of home runs. I know that.
Yeah,
but I would, if I'm picking a Padre to win it, I'll just go with Jurickson Profar.
Okay.
Actually, no, I take that back. I'll go with Jackson Merrill, because Jackson Merrill has had a damn good month.
He's had an amazing month.
So I'll go with Jackson Merrill. There you go. Now, if we're talking about pitchers of the month, Matt Waldron has a legitimate chance to win NL Pitcher of the Month. Those are 2 different awards, obviously. But from a Padres perspective, I mean, you can go Jake Cronenworth if you want. I mean, Jake Cronenworth at one point had like 8 straight hits. Remember that? And that was over the past weekend versus the Brewers.
You're bringing up good points. Okay, I'm looking at it all up on the fly. Here's what Merrill has done this month. Merrill this month has a 926 OPS. I thought it might be higher. He's hit 7 home runs this month. All right.
Is that good?
Jurickson this month has actually been, quote unquote, down from the other 2 months. 835 OPS. He was 917 and 927.
Oh, man. Okay. Horrible month for him.
No, it isn't, but he's not going to be NL Player of the Month, is my point, with an 8-something OPS, because who knows what's going on around the league. And then the last of the candidates that you just mentioned, Jake Cronenworth, who has been scorching hot in June, Jim, has hit 273 with a 788 OPS. So he's gotten hot here recently.
Give me Higgy's numbers.
Oh, they're off the charts. Good. It doesn't include today, what I'm looking up. I can't. He's been amazing. He's not winning NL Player of the Month, playing half the days.
Yeah.
But he's been amazing.
Well, let's just say this. So
all of them.
All of them, yeah. So probably we'd agree Jackson Merrill has the best chance.
I think so. Yeah.
And I think Matt Waldron might win it.
No, I agree.
Like for Pitcher of the Month.
I hope so. That'd be amazing. That's an amazing story.
He's been such a rock for this team this entire month, going through all of their pitching ups and downs. He has been the steady and the constant. Every time he goes out there, it's 6-7 innings, 1-2 run ball. I mean, he has been amazing for this team. Where would this team be without freaking Matt Waldron?
On a plane to Boston, probably. Next question.
Yeah, that's right.
Who gets drafted number 1 tonight by the Hawks?
Well, I can't say because I'm looking at the TV right now.
Zachariah Rissachet or something.
I don't know how to pronounce that name. So
is he a French?
One of those French guys.
One of those French guys.
But Alex Sarr.
Alex Sarr.
He's not expected to go 1 because he hasn't worked out for the Hawks.
Klingon.
For some reason. Klingon's a possibility. The kid we saw against San Diego State, Stephon Castle,
Okay.
the guard,
From where?
true freshman, UConn.
I'll go with the Frenchman that you mentioned.
I don't know how to say his name.
Because I think they're going to be looking at this like, all right, we need to draft somebody with upside here. Because Klingon kind of know what he is. This guy, if we develop him right, he could be a real force and a really good player. Who cares if it takes a couple years? We're not expected to win. We might lose Trae Young, but that's okay. Maybe, I don't know. Like, I think the Frenchman's going number one.
Is it weird that he averaged 9.7 points per game in Europe?
That's fine.
All those
I know.
Euro guys have been doing that.
I know.
Look what Luka averaged in Europe.
No, it's fair.
It was like 7 or 8 points. It was not good.
But this guy, you're right. He just turned 19, right? So, but someone said, I'm pretty sure I was listening to a podcast. We talked about this yesterday. And like, this guy really projects to be a good 3-and-D guy. And I'm like, we're talking about the number one
3-and-D.
Projected to be a 3-and-D guy. I don't know if they were talking about this Risache guy or whatever his name is or not, but I think it speaks to the unknowns that are in this class, even at the top of the
Castle.
class. Yes, yeah, he was the UConn guard.
It feels like that year when the Pistons took Darko Milicic, only it feels like every pick is Darko Milicic this year.
Right. Remember the
Like,
year?
oh, you passed on Chris Bosh. You passed on
remember
Wade,
Anthony Bennett?
You passed on Melo.
Anthony Bennett out of UNLV was the first overall pick. I mean, first overall is no guarantee.
No.
It's just not. We've said Ben Simmons was the first overall pick.
Kwame
Hey,
Brown.
LeBron.
Yeah.
Simmons got
Yes.
this.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Unbelievable. Final question.
What's the ceiling on the Padres regular season?
So
ceiling?
here's the thing. I'm asking it, and Brent asked it, but the reason I wrote it was both in wins and also in like standing. As in first wild card, division, third wild card, second wild card, total wins, wherever you want to go.
I will say their ceiling, John, is first wild card, second place in the National League West, 87, 88 wins.
Okay, that would be the ceiling. They're 44-41, 85 games in. They'd have to play very well, but it's definitely within the realm of possibility to get to high 80s and wins. They'd have to play well, and they are. I agree with you. They're not winning the division. Even with all the success, they're 8 games out in the division, now into technically
Dodgers
the
are on
second
pace to
half
win
of the
over
year.
100 games.
But Atlanta has not consistently been great. They've been good. They're 4 games better than Padres, but they haven't been great. So I'm not ruling that outside the realm of possibility. So I'm with you. I think mid to high 80s is definitely feasible. I think beyond that is a stretch, and winning the division for me, even with all the success, is a stretch.
Atlanta's 11 games over. They're 7-3 in their last 10. They're 24-13 at home.
Padres are 3 over. I mean, they're only 4 games back. It's not impossible to overcome that.
No, but I think that's they have the same amount of wins as the Atlanta Braves.
They've just played 120 more games.
Dude, it's incredible. The Braves have played, what is it?
What's their record?
44-33. The Padres have played 8 more games than them.
Makes no sense. 2 in Korean rainouts.
It will even out after July. I think.
Exactly. All right. On the other side, your chance to win New Kids on the Block tickets. Who wants them? We have 2 free tickets to see New Kids on the Block in about a week or so, July 7th at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater. First 2 callers will be contestants for trivia. Here's the number to call right now if you want those 2 free tickets, 877-767-4760. Again, 877-767-4760. We have 2 free tickets to see New Kids on the Block, July 7th, North Island Credit Union Amphitheater. We'll play trivia. First 2 callers will be our contestants. So call right now. Again, one more time, 877-767-4760. That's next. All right, caller 2 has dropped off. So if you want 2 free tickets to see New Kids on the Block, you need to call right now. 877-767-4760. This is a great prize. 2 free tickets to see New Kids on the Block, July 7th, North Island Credit Union Amphitheater. Call right now if you want those tickets. We'll play trivia on the other side. Here's the number. Call right now. 877-767-4760. Again, 877-767-4760. 2 free tickets to New Kids on the Block next. A reminder, you can always hit us up on the Talkback mic. Just open the free iHeartRadio app, listen to San Diego Sports 760, and tap that little red microphone icon next to the play button to leave a 30-second talkback. So we're always available to you in the free iHeartRadio app with you until 6 p.m. Padres will be off tomorrow. NBA draft will get underway in about 10 minutes. We briefly touched on it there during the wrap. It's not overly intriguing from a big name perspective. I think locally, again, we've talked about Jaden Ledee and Keyshawn Johnson. I think the expectation is if they hear their names called, it would be tomorrow, not today. This is the first ever year, Jim. They're doing a 2-day draft. Round 1 today, round 2 tomorrow, actually in the afternoon. I think 4 or 4:30 Eastern for round 2 tomorrow. Do we need 2 days of NBA draft in your opinion?
I was just going to say, I think they're making a mistake by doing this. The NFL can get away with it because the talent pool is so much deeper in the NFL draft. Once you get out of the first round in the NBA draft, it's nobody really cares anymore. So it's like now you're going to give the second round, which no one cares about, its own day. They don't need it.
Some of the players they're showing on television right now, I'm like, you even mentioned it. Like, why does that guy look like me, but 30 years younger?
I don't know about 30, but yeah.
But like
maybe
they look
20.
They look very young. And that's the thing with this.
You look just like Zach Edey.
with the NBA draft right now is that these college players in the transfer portal, they're not developing. They are bouncing around from school to school for the most money. Understandable. I get it. And I don't know if they're fully ready for the NBA. That's why this year's draft class, you're like, I don't know. Because that's what college basketball is becoming. It's becoming a transfer portal, wild, wild west. Kids aren't developing. they have a good year somewhere and then they go straight to the NBA. Or if they don't have a good year and they don't want to be in college, they go to the NBA or they try to go to the NBA. And it's going to take a long time for these guys to develop. I guarantee you 80% of the players in this draft are not going to be good next year.
Right. So you're saying that even these like lottery picks, these
maybe even more than that.
Yeah. I mean, we got these really young prospects coming out of France, 18, 19 years of age, that are going, first, second, third overall, whatever it is. Yet they got to be developed on the job.
Yeah.
This isn't plug and play. Now, that's always been the argument for, we've talked about Jaden, we've talked about Keyshawn. Keyshawn Johnson, 5 years in college, is 23, only 23, just turned 23 like 2 days ago, which is, I think, good for him. And then Jaden Ledee is about to turn 25. And he's got 6 years in college.
That
but
hurts them, though.
It hurts them. But what's funny, from an NBA perspective, wouldn't you think you can just plug them in? There's no development here. Just play them. Put them in your rotation. Like you can use their skill set to your advantage now. They can play good minutes right now in the NBA. I'm convinced of it. Jaden Ledee, if given an opportunity in the NBA, would take advantage of it in year one over these 18-year-old prospects that may pay huge dividends, but do it in 3 seasons.
Yeah. Role player roles, and they have to go to the right organization.
Mm-hmm.
Like what type of organization, what team do you think is good for Jaden Ledee?
I thought our draft analyst that came on yesterday, Ersin Demir, that came on yesterday, said it right. He said, Jaden Ledee's got to go to a good team that he can just fit in. They've got their culture, they've got their chemistry, they've got their coach. They already are capable of winning. I'm making up 48 to 55 games. Now go find a role for him and let him assist a good team. You go to a situation where they're 20 and 62. You want him to contribute for a team that's winning immediately. He's 25 years of age. So I would say, one of the teams picking towards the back of the draft in both the first and second round is their position to win.
Could you imagine a practice where Jaden Ledee's going up against Nikola Jokic?
Ooh, yes, I would love to see that. Yeah, there we go. We can back up Jokic. Perfect.
Well, it's also a different style because Jaden Ledee is not that type of player at all, and how they play and how the NBA truly is nowadays, where it's you might have one big man, but the rest are wings and guards.
No doubt. Jim Schlossnagle has apologized. You may say, who is Jim Schlossnagle?
Who?
The head coach that spurned Texas A&M. We played his audio from after losing the College World Series yesterday, which was absurd. He completely rips into a reporter for asking the question about, are you interested in the Texas vacancies? Like, how dare you ask that? Well, he took the Texas job less than 24 hours later. Today, and we're not going to play it here because it's long. He just kept digging today at the University of Texas when he was introduced. But among his diatribe, he said, I should have answered the question better. So I don't really buy it. And he had this long, we're not going to play right now, but he had this long diatribe about the yada, yada, yada. At the end of the day, he left Texas A&M for Texas, and he lied on the podium 48 hours ago. That's what happened.
And he lied on the podium today. You took the Texas job for the money, bro.
Right.
It's not hard to figure out. You had this passionate, fake tough guy, just comes off as completely disingenuous rant after you lost the college baseball World Series. And then the next day you leave after you just said that. No one's ever going to believe you again. And guess what? He'll probably have the same type of speech at some point in his career at Texas.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it gets better than Texas, but
probably not because of money.
Right, exactly. If he happened to go anywhere else, or if there's another big time college baseball program out there that wants to hire him, and he says the exact same thing, everyone's like, dude, you're phony. I didn't know this guy 48 hours ago.
Now he's a household name.
And today, Schlossnagle.
Yeah, Schlossnagle.
He's one of my least favorite college coaches or /coaches in sports. I hate this guy.
It's that Family Guy thing. He's a phony. He's a big fat phony.
He really is. He is a phony 100%.
So today he said he wanted to apologize to the reporter Richard Zane of TextAgs.com. He asked a question that was an obvious question. I wish if I could have answered that better. Listen to this. But in the moment, all 30 minutes after the last pitch, all I could think about was our players.
Okay.
And I really wasn't in the mood to talk about myself for the future. Dude, you didn't
Then I
even
saw the zeros on
you
that
didn't-
check. And
he didn't even
boy,
meet with his players on his way out. He said he regretted that, but the timing just didn't work. He just left.
Dude, I hate this guy. Schloss, whatever his name is.
You're not into it.
I
It's not a good
despise
look.
him. I
It's not a good look.
despise this guy. Boo this man. I don't like that guy.
On the other
Ugh,
side,
what a loser.
on the other side, one eye on the first round of the NBA draft, our other on the streaking Padres, 7-1 in their last 8, sweeping through the Nats, on their way for Boston. What's in store for the Padres on the road beginning on Friday night? We'll kick off hour 3 of Jon and Jim next.
Boo this man!
All right, this update is brought to you by Staples Stores. Padres, they completed the sweep today of the Washington Nationals. They won 8-5. Kyle Higashioka had 2 home runs, a 2-run homer, and a grand slam in the win. They finally have an off day tomorrow before they head out on a road trip starting in Boston on Friday. And the NBA draft moments away, with the Atlanta Hawks having the number 1 overall pick. Staples can print anything you need to move your business forward, like banners, flyers, signs, and catalogs, some even on the same day. And now at Staples, save up to $50 on your print purchase. Offer ends 7/6. Visit staples.com/print for details. Boost your business with Staples, your local print and marketing expert.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? Final hour of Jon and Jim. We are with you until 6 p.m. We do have New Kids on the Block tickets to give away this hour, and we will. We also have Jim's back page. We will keep you updated on round 1 of the NBA draft, but we also, Jim, do have Padres news. Yes, we've talked about it obsessively for 2 hours. They're playing very well, and it should be celebrated the way they're playing. They're 3 games over. It matches the season high. They've won 7 of 8. But there's other really good news. You could argue as important as how they're playing as a team is Yu Darvish imaging has come back clean per the Padres and the reporting. So remember, there was a bit of a setback. We thought he was coming off the IL to pitch Tuesday. He didn't pitch. Now they get an update on his imaging, on his elbow. It is quote unquote clean. He could play a big, meaningful role. We've seen it before, like 2022 with all the innings for a very good Padres team. The idea of him pitching 10, 15 times and being effective down the stretch could be so meaningful for the Padres. So now I guess we wait to see when he starts, but it's got to be encouraging that according to the Padres, whatever that's worth, the imaging's clean and hopefully we'll see him sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I'm still concerned. I'll continue to say I don't really believe or trust the Padres when it comes to arm injuries with pitchers. I just don't. They've had not a lot of success when it comes to arm injuries with pitchers. So I'll believe it when I see it.
When he's back out there pitching effectively.
I mean, it is good news that that's the message that comes out, but who knows what happens over the next couple of days as they look at it more. Something doesn't show up. I hope it doesn't, but it's the Padres. And when you think of the Padres and arm injuries, it's not a good combination.
And then here's the other thing. Now he missed so much time that they gave him a rehab start. And now he's way off schedule for his next start because he was supposed to already pitch. And does he make another rehab start?
I would assume so. Darvish is
or will it be 2 bullpens? See how you respond from your first bullpen.
Now Joe was throwing today in the outfield.
That's also, by the way, again, it's not the end of the deal, but it's encouraging. Better than him not doing it. Mm-hmm. He's going to give it a go. I don't know when. You're going to see him back.
He will. He will.
And I don't know if he'll be effective. Same thing with Yu Darvish. He will absolutely be back sooner rather than later. I don't know if it's a bullpen or 2 or a rehab start, but you forecast, clean imaging and you think, well, he's going to be back on the mound in San Diego sooner rather than later. Unlike the Bogarts conversation where like, you know what? Take your time, man. Everything's working out. With like a Darvish and a Musgrove, I mean, do you take your time, man, so to speak, with them?
Yes.
But does it even matter?
Because look what happened last time they didn't take their time. Joe even said, I should have taken my time. Mm-hmm. That's like pretty much exactly what he said.
Right.
So from that standpoint, yes, take your time. I mean, if you get him back in just September.
Right, but they're like fully healthy.
Do you know how much of a boost that is?
Yeah.
It's huge. The best news that you could get from Darvish and Musgrove is that whatever injuries they're dealing with, whatever inflammation or discomfort or whatever they're dealing with, at this point in time, doesn't seem like it's a season ender, which is the good news.
Yeah, definitely.
And with that, returning this year at some point, like I would choose the end of the year personally to try to, instead of trying to push it right now to get back out there. Cause
this isn't the 2021 rotation. It's been solid.
And Preller's going to make a move.
Definitely.
And he's going to make a move and and if Matt Waldron and Michael King and if Dylan Cease can pitch like he pitched today more consistently going forward, you can look at those 2 guys and be like, we want you back. We know you're going to come back, but don't rush this.
I'm fascinated to see the aggressiveness of AJ Preller in July because I think it'll be somewhat telling on his belief and the organization's belief on Darvish and Musgrove now in 2024. Because if all you hear is the high-end starting pitching, trade targets, then I got to think they're thinking the same thing we are, which is we're not going to have both of these pitchers down the stretch pitching effectively. Because if they truly believe those pitchers are coming back and will be healthy, then why are you going after the top of the market with starting pitching? But they think like we think, that it's almost an inevitability that you're going to have a starting pitching issue along the way. They've had it so often throughout the years, and that's why they will be tied repeatedly in the weeks ahead to pitchers like Eric Roche and others.
Because as much fun as we're all having right now,
We're having a lot of fun.
A lot of fun, everybody. This is fun.
Super fun.
The 2021 team was 17 games over 500.
18 in August.
Games over 500 in August.
67 and 49.
They finished under 500.
Correct.
Because they lost all of their pitching and everybody
It was bad.
just got hurt and it wasn't good. And Stars didn't, it just was not good. It wasn't good, So it's great right now. Feels awesome. Feels like this team is, the rocket ship is launched and it's like we're going to the moon. But there's still a lot of baseball left.
Mm-hmm. That's a really good point.
A lot.
No, it's like we said a lot last year. People be like, "Oh, this got to be the low point, right?" 162 games. How did you say that? I know it can always get better. It can absolutely get better. There's two sides to that coin. You see teams take off in second halves, and you see teams completely unravel. I'm willing to bet on the Padres. With everything I know about this team, I'm not betting on the health of the Padres. I'm not betting on one specific player like Joe Musgrove. I'm betting on what my eyes are watching, which is good baseball, overcoming adversity and deficits, winning here recently, overcoming obstacles. Like I'm willing to bet on that. Now it is Major League Baseball. The other teams aren't going to care if you got injuries and they don't. So yeah, it's an interesting time. We've said a lot of cautious optimism. I felt like that a lot this year, but that's still optimism. And I am optimistic about where they are. I think they'll get healthier. I think they'll add at the deadline, and I like the way they're playing. That's a good combination for me.
And use this momentum that you have created here over these last couple homestands and all the walk-offs and what happened last night, what you guys went through and the moment that Manny had and Profar had, right? Like use this going forward into this road trip to give yourself some wiggle room. So you're not always playing, biting your nails or walking that tightrope. Any wrong move could be a crushing blow. Like get some wiggle room here, go and have a good road trip. If you get to the All-Star break, because by the way, when you get home, you face Seattle, you face Atlanta, and you face Arizona.
How'd you know that?
Because I look at their schedule, John.
You memorize that? That's impressive.
I think that's what it is.
Very
I don't know
impressive.
if it's that order, but
It was very impressive.
Am I right or am I wrong?
I don't know because you're not.
Because you're making me feel like I'm right.
You're right. It's Arizona first.
Okay, I didn't know the order.
Then a day off, then Seattle for 2, then a day off, and then Atlanta into the break for 3.
I mean, you finish up. We were just asking the other day, can you get to the All-Star break 2, 3 games over? Doesn't it feel like if they can use this momentum here and play some good baseball for the remainder of the first half and get to July where you have a bunch of off days and you can get guys healthy and you can get guys that are, hurt right now, some rest like Luis Ariz and Manny and Profar. I mean, does it seem out of the realm of possibility this team, the way they're playing right now, if they can continue it, be 5-6 games over 500 at the break?
Not outside the realm of possibility. And no one's guaranteeing it, but not outside the realm of possibility. Okay. It's being reported that the first overall pick is the guy that we can't pronounce his name. Zachary Risache, I think is his name, or Risache.
Okay.
But the reason I bring it up, it's not overly topical,
Adam
obviously.
Silver's about to announce it.
Do you want to hear from Adam Silver? No, not really. So, but here's the reason I mention it. Tell me where he's going to fit into the last 10 first overall picks. Listen to the last 10. Okay.
All right.
Wemby.
Risache.
Wemby's a monster, we think, moving forward. I mean,
generational player.
Miss. Yeah,
generational can't miss player.
Paulo Banchero with
Really
Orlando, good player.
Really good player, all-star.
Cade Cunningham, Detroit was 3 seasons ago.
He's a fine player, but not like a game changer, franchise-changing player.
Michael Jordan 2.0, Anthony Edwards. Very good player.
Yeah.
Zion,
Superstar.
whatever you want to say about it, was a huge moment. Like, it was a huge name. It brought people to television.
He's like Tatis. You can't get over the injury bug.
But it was a big moment. Like, everyone knew Zion heading into that draft. Yeah. And then DeAndre Ayton with the Suns, impactful, but not overly. Listen to some of these picks, though, within the last 10 years. Markelle Fultz, a disaster.
Ugh.
Ben Simmons, a complete disaster.
Ugh.
And then the 2 before that are Cat and Andrew Wiggins. And then before that's Anthony Bennett. Anyway, my point is, where is Risa Shea among these names with Wemby and Anthony Edwards, and Zion? I mean, is this the
full disclosure? I know
nothing
about Risa Shea.
So is this like the most random first overall pick?
I just learned
for
his
an
name
American
5 minutes
basketball.
ago.
Is this the most random first overall pick for an American basketball fan ever?
It's up there.
You're a big basketball fan.
I know. Michael Bennett.
No, Anthony
Bennett. Sorry. Who's Michael Bennett? That's a football player.
Yeah.
Anthony Bennett. That was very random. That was also a very bad draft. This draft on the surface, on paper, looks like a really bad draft. We don't know.
He averaged 10 and 4 rebounds. I mean, I thought he'd say like 15 rebounds or something.
Is
versatile defender is what it says about him.
Is Adam Silver just really tall? I mean, this guy's
he is pretty tall.
Okay,
He's
6'8",
tall, very tall. Yeah.
I mean, look,
we don't know.
We don't know. Who knows? I don't think anybody's like, guys, why aren't you breaking down Risa Shea's game going to the left?
Right.
Like, whatever. I don't know. We'll see. It's Atlanta Hawks. Bad year to get the first overall pick.
Yes, exactly. Potentially.
But
I guess my point was the game is so international, which is a great thing. And there's interest at the world level, and the Olympics could be entertaining, and the NBA has been great. A lot of these international players are terrific. But with all that being said, it takes away some of the interest on a draft night, because there's going to be 10 guys drafted tonight, guys, maybe more, we've never seen.
No.
It's a roll of the dice thing, because you look back almost 10 years ago when, the Bucks drafted some guy that had damn near every letter in the alphabet in his name, and everyone's like, who the hell is this guy? And, meanwhile, MVP and a championship later, everyone knows who he is.
Sure.
So, some of these guys now, granted, I don't know who the hell 80% of these guys are in this year's draft too, but that doesn't mean that in 10 years, we might not get some superstar that just develops out of this.
Andrea Bargnani. I forgot how to say his name. Bargnani.
Yep.
Man, that was a pick.
Oh, he was first overall?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, anyway, the NBA draft is underway. We will keep you updated on that throughout the course of this hour. Earlier today, Padres over the Nationals 8-5. Kyle Higashioka hit 2 home runs, had 6 RBIs, including a grand slam. That has been unbelievable, him in June. But what Jim said earlier, I think, is spot on Dylan Cease. You got Dylan Cease. You're thinking, wow, front line can't miss ace. That's the way the year started. Had his sub-2 ERA through 8 starts. And then his next 8 starts, he had a 7 ERA, 6.5, 7 ERA. And then there's today, all the strikeouts. I think he had 1 hit in 7 innings. Is that what he did? 7 scoreless innings, 1 hit, 9 strikeouts.
Cease and desist.
I like that. That's very creative.
I came up with that all on my own, John.
Very creative.
Ha 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 ha.
Yeah. So Dylan Cease. Again, we've seen that. We saw the first 8 starts of the year. If he can become that guy, will be massive. Matt Waldron. Nobody thought this, Jim. We were talking 2 months ago about Waldron. He's not going to make 30 starts. He's just the plug-in guy to start the year. He's your number 5 guy. Maybe makes 8 starts for you. Throws 50. What else to make 8 in the National League?
Did you know? You probably did. Listeners didn't know this. Do you know where Matt Waldron came from?
Parents, presumably. Okay. Yeah, player to be named. That's what you're going to say.
He was a player to be named in the Mike Clevenger deal.
I told you the Mike Clevenger deal.
They won that deal. And that was like a
that
deal.
That was the picture they wanted.
Yeah,
they wanted
of course. They wanted
that was a Waldron deal.
Yeah, we're like, hey, guys, I know we're getting Clevenger here, but we want Matt Waldron.
I mean, Waldron's an amazing success story, and you know it because other players around baseball, and I saw quotes actually the other night from Washington saying like his stuff is filthy.
It is. When you have that knuckleball going, it's literally an impossible pitch to try to guess where it's going because not even Matt Waldron knows where it's going.
Dude, he gets the most awkward swings. I mean, some really ridiculous swings at some of his knuckleballs.
Hey, it's cool that he's Ari Dickey 2.0 this year. I mean, I'll take that for this season.
Yeah, and again, do I know if it's going to work next year? Do I know if it's going to work in the second half? I really don't, but I know it's working now.
Yeah, that's all that matters.
It's working right now really well.
And truthfully, it kind of worked last year as well.
Yeah, it was a small sample size.
Small sample size, but he was pretty solid.
I'll be honest. I wrote him off. And this is always unfair. We do this with everyone. It's like you don't know who they are.
Yes,
they make debuts.
To everything in the moment.
We were at Petco at a suite with Aaron. Matt Waldron pitched that night, and he allowed like 3 solo home runs. I'm like, I'm done with this.
Phillies?
Was it the Phillies?
I think it was.
I don't remember that, but I know he allowed multiple home
during
runs
the sweep.
It was one of his first 2 or 3 outings of his big league
was it
career.
last year?
Last year. Remember,
okay.
We were there, and there were multiple home runs. It's like kind of like animation. I'm like, oh, we didn't pitch well in his second start. I'm done with him. It's not fair. It could take years. You're talking about young pitchers. Waldron not as young, but like a converted knuckleball pitcher. My point is, credit to Matt Waldron. Like it doesn't always work from day one. And just because you're slated as a number 5 starter doesn't mean you have to pitch like a number 5 starter. He's pitched like a frontline starter this year, to his credit, which is awesome.
And Dylan Cease has frontline level stuff.
I think Michael King has frontline stuff.
I mean, you saw what Dylan Cease did today. That's an ace. That's an ace.
I mean, he's finished second in Cy Young within the last 2 years.
He is, I think, second or third in the league in strikeouts.
Is he?
Not the National League.
He gets
league.
a ton of swings and misses.
Yeah, his ERA is a little high. It's now down to 3.89.
Yeah,
which
that's good. That's
is
fine.
Decent, and it's good. But we know he's better than that. We know he's a guy that can have an ERA in the 2s or the low 3s and give you 180 innings. You have that pitcher going forward here for you for the foreseeable future, coupled with Waldron and King, who are both pitching really well, especially Matt Waldron. Their 1-2-3 isn't what we expected their 1-2-3 to be this year, but it's not about the names, it's about the production sometimes. The production you're getting from those 3 guys, if they can continue this, is exactly what the Padres wanted and needed.
Alex Starr has gone second overall to the Washington Wizards.
Oh, man, I'm sure he's going to love playing with Jordan Poole.
I don't know if he will or not. So, Alex Starr, the first 2 players drafted are both from France, and they both averaged either 10 points or less a year ago. Actually, now you say write that off, and I'm with you because you said, was it Luka? Is it the young guy when he was drafted? Averaged like, what did Luka average the year before he got drafted? You said 7, 8, 9 points per game.
I want to say that.
So it's not the biggest indicator.
I want to be right on this one. Hold on. Luka. Whoops, that's not Luka. How do you spell that? Luka Doncic.
Like Euro numbers,
I guess. I don't think it was a crazy number.
I think 16 points per game. I found 16, 4 and 4.
Okay,
yeah, which is solid. But I get your point. It's not like these guys jump off the page 30
he went
points
from a
game.
16-point guy in Europe to
30 something in the NBA.
Yeah, well, he's also said like it's much more difficult to play in Europe in European basketball style because of just like the spacing on the court and the rules and just how that goes. Like in the NBA, the spacing is unlimited. And so it's much easier to score here if you're a good offensive player than it is over in Europe.
You know, one thing I have noticed, maybe they've done this in the past and I just didn't notice it this year. Have you noticed that they've started listing players as W's? For
wings?
For wings.
Oh, interesting. No, I didn't realize that.
I've never seen that before, unless, like I said, they've been doing it. And I just
that's the game now.
Attention.
It's guards and wings.
It makes sense. It's just it's the first time I've ever seen them just acknowledge it. Like, oh, you know, he's a guard from France, to where now it's like, oh, he's a W.
By the way,
he's a W.
By the way,
what position are you?
As we watch this draft, so a full year ago, when San Diego State played UConn in that national title game, the first of UConn's 2, the last 2 years. Guys that played in the NBA from that game last year were Jordan Hawkins with New Orleans, Adama Sanogo with the Chicago Bulls, Andre Jackson Jr. Milwaukee, Nathan Mensah, 30-something games with Charlotte. Now, Stephon Castle played the Aztecs this year, Donovan Clingan each of the last 2 years. Tristan Newton could end up in the NBA. Jaden Ledee, Keyshawn Johnson. My point is, from that 2023 national championship game, there could be 9 or more players that play in the NBA from that 2023 game. You've already had 4 or 5. You're going to have more, obviously, right away with Klingon. And again, I think Johnson or Ledee have a good chance to play in the NBA within the next year. Castle's going to get drafted. I don't think he played 2 years ago. But a ton of NBA talent on the floor that night in Houston in 2023, like 8 guys.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
crazy.
That was
high level.
Very high level. And when you look back on that game 10 years from now, you'll be like, whoa, a lot of good players out there.
It's a 5-point game. Remember that?
Yeah, no, John, they still lost.
All right. Okay. Here's what we're going to do. On the other side, we'll keep you updated on this NBA draft. We have Jim's back page ahead as well. Also, we will give away New Kids on the Block tickets. We'll do that on the other side. We're with you until 6 p.m. on Jon and Jim. All right, we have New Kids on the Block tickets to give away. We've got everything you need to know from round 1 of the NBA draft, plus reacting to a Padres sweep of the Nationals next.
This update's brought to you by Staples Stores. The NBA draft is underway right now. Zachary what is it, John? Risache?
Risache, maybe?
Risache. I don't know. He got drafted number 1 overall by the Atlanta Hawks. The Padres swept the Nationals today, 8-5. Kyle Higashioka had 2 home runs, a 2-run homer, and a grand slam. Padres have an off day tomorrow before they start a road trip through Boston and Texas starting this weekend. Staples can print anything you need to move your business forward, like banners, flyers, signs, and catalogs. Some even on the same day. Now Staples save up to $50 on your print purchase. Offer ends 7/6. Visit staples.com/print for details. Boost your business with Staples, your local print and marketing expert.
Jon and Jim back with you. San Diego Sports 760. We're giving away New Kids on the Block tickets July 7th, North Island Credit Union Amphitheater. We'll give those away at some point in the next 5 or 10 minutes. We do have Jim's back page full ahead. Padres sweep the Nationals, the most discussed series of the year to this point, and arguably the most impactful series. It's not like they're sweeping everyone this year, but they just swept a team right behind them in the NL. And the manner in which they did it, this wasn't 5-4, 2-0, 5-1. The manner in which they won these games, Jim, is what makes it way bigger. Because who they sweep earlier this year? Oakland at home for their first sweep. And it was great. Beat Oakland. They were looking for that first sweep and it came, but it wasn't like overly remarkable. There weren't, bench clearing moments and walk-off wins. Maybe there were Jackson Merrill against Oakland, but the manner in which they won is my point. The coming back from 3 down, the bench is clearing, the pro farm moments. That's what makes it bigger than just like a ho-hum, whatever. They won 3 games against whomever.
Mic on.
Show his deja vu, man.
This entire series was a movie. It felt like
Hallmark?
Not a Hallmark movie, better than that. But with the dramatics that happened on Monday night, it was a good game. And then all of a sudden, you're trailing by 3, and you get the crazy bottom of the 10th, followed by the celebration. And then there's antics the next game, and then the Manny moment, and the Profar moment. And then today, I know they gave up 5 runs in 9th inning there, but they blew out the Nationals. It was not a close game, even though the Nationals scored 5 there in the 9th inning. But this to me was the most enjoyable, fun Padres series since the 2022 postseason for me. And there's other series that have been fun, and there's other series that have been like, oh yeah, here we go, right? Like this, but this series to me, with everything that has happened in it, to me, it's the most enjoyable, the most fun series covering this team in over a year and a half.
Like, things got real last night. And I know that was yesterday's game, but like it got real when you have all that back and forth and the antics, and that's where mad. They take it out by hitting Profar and bench is clear and Manny backs it up with a home run. Like, you could wait a season for that type of moment or moments.
Yeah.
Like, that was a season's worth of moments. We said the other day, every one of the 30 teams walks off. All of them will walk off this year. Every single one of them, good and bad. Not every team will have a benches clearing moment that's that impactful like the Padres did yesterday. That's like a moment in time thing. It didn't happen last year. It doesn't happen every year.
Yeah, you can go through your entire career as a baseball player or just covering a team and not see that type of like moment happen as it happened.
Right.
Where you have the confrontation at home plate. You get the benches clearing.
Got Manny like yanking the catcher away.
The very next pitch, Profar gets hit, which to me was intentional. You
had to be 98-mile-per-hour fastball.
You don't miss on a 98-mile-per-hour fastball back foot.
The next pitch.
Yeah,
it's not 100 pitches into his outing.
Yeah, you didn't throw a back foot slider and you hit his foot.
Right.
You threw a 98-mile-per-hour straight fastball right at his shin.
Right.
Yeah, that was the thing that pissed me off the most last night was you literally just gave both sides a warning, and the very first pitch you hit somebody, and then you're going to toss Schilt.
It didn't make any sense. And then Davey Martinez after the game is mentioning they wanted to send a message like, great message you sent, because the Padres whooped your ass this series, and they made you their bitch.
I was supposed to be like, can you say that? But I guess you can. But you said it multiple times.
I can say it.
Can I, or is it just you?
Just me. It was so fun.
It was great.
Enjoyable. The series gave me life. Like, it just, like, this whole season has been a roller coaster to this point. There's been moments where you're like, oh, and there's been moments where, like, you feel that they're about to turn a corner, and you then see this team trip over themselves, but then they come right back and win 4 in a row, and they haven't had to, like, sustained stretch of good baseball that's prolonged period of time until, like, right now, pretty much.
What's interesting to me is, like, we get critiqued a lot for, oh, you guys are so critical. Yeah, we spent 2.5 hours today telling you everything about how good this is. The 8-game stretch, overcoming injuries, dealing with adversity, Jerks and Profar, Manny Machado.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, what do you, like, we've said this before, when things are good, go back and listen to what we were saying in 2022.
Yeah.
When things are good, like they are right now. Now, listen, if they lose 6 straight, that's not on us.
No,
but we have to be willing to be critiquing of it. But when they win 6 straight or whatever they're on right now, 7-1, we've been very forthright, honest, and positive, because you should be, based on the way they're playing right now. Now, do we have questions about the injuries and how they impact the team? Of course we do.
Mm-hmm.
But we're being fair and reasonable, and we are excited, like you are excited, about the way this team is playing right now.
People don't like when you're critical of their favorite team sometimes.
Right, but when the team's 3 games under 500, you're going to have to be critical. When they're 3 games over 500 because they're playing well, it's fair to be, excited about the way they're performing.
Yeah.
And that's how we are right now.
And a lot of people have selective hearing.
Yeah, definitely.
Trust me.
Yeah, we know.
We know.
We do know.
I am the king of selective hearing.
You really are.
I'm like, what? But if I said something today that was like, which I did, like, the bullpen still has had issues, and they need another arm in there.
We're just looking out for them.
You're like, why are you critical of the bullpen? They just swept the Nationals.
We are seeing the forest through the trees.
Yeah.
We're looking ahead, and we're asking questions about the future. All right. NBA draft picks 3 and 4.
Oh, give it to me.
All right. Reed Shepherd, shooter from Kentucky, very good player. A year ago, he went 3rd overall to the Houston Rockets.
Okay.
How's that fit for him?
Great fit.
And Stephon Castle.
They said he has a 42-inch vertical.
Okay.
That's good.
Yeah.
For a shooter. And then Stephon Castle, who played at UConn, was on the team a year ago, true freshman. They won the national championship. They beat San Diego State and Boston in the Sweet 16. He goes 4th overall to the San Antonio Spurs. So don't the Spurs have 2 of the top 10 or 8? I think they have 2 of the top handful of picks. So they go Castle, pair him with Wemby. They have another pick coming up here in the first round. Will the Spurs get good relatively soon? Is Wemby the Ohtani Trout? Like, Wemby has 50 and 40 in a 90 to 70
Spurs
loss.
pick again at 8.
Okay.
No. Wemby
is actually going to be. He's going to win with this team.
In the NBA, you can have a LeBron and a bunch of nobodies, and you can win.
Mm-hmm.
You can have a Wemby and a bunch of decent players and win. This year, John, he was already a top 10, you could argue, player in the league.
That's amazing. That is amazing.
Like, if you wanted to really break it down.
Restriction.
Right. That's amazing.
Top 10 player in the league, and he's a rookie.
Mm-hmm.
He's only going to get better. He's only going to be more dominant. He's going to take over games like he did this past year.
Right.
The Spurs, they are such a smart organization.
Right.
If they make the postseason this year, I wouldn't be surprised.
He's only 20. Victor Wembanyama, heading into year 2. All right, call right now if you want New Kids on the Block tickets. We have them for you. If you're caller 7, they are yours. 877-767-4760. This is 2 free tickets to see New Kids on the Block July 7th at North Island Credit Union Amphitheater. So we have 2 free tickets for caller 7. You need to call, though, right now. The number is 877-767-4760. Again, one more time, 877-767-4760. New Kids on the Block, July 7th at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater. On the other side, additional updates from Brooklyn. The NBA draft round 1 is underway. Plus, Jim's back page. Stay with us. All right. So if you're a veteran, listen up. Did you know that you can access up to 100% of your home's equity right now? Hey guys, it's Schaefer. You can do it with Loan Pronto's VA Equity Advantage program. You can get 30, 50, 100 grand or more and use that money to pay off all those credit cards and personal loans, car loans. Maybe use the cash to do that home improvement project. Veterans love working with Loan Pronto because they make it easy. No junk fees, no hassle. They can unlock that cash in your home's equity in a matter of weeks. Don't keep paying insane rates on credit cards. There's a smarter alternative with Loan Pronto. Get more info and start the process now at loanpronto.com. Or if your current VA loan rate is over 6.5%, Loan Pronto can get you in a streamlined refinance with a lower rate right now with no income verification and no appraisal. Lower your monthly payment big time. Loan Pronto makes it so easy for veterans. Here's the number to call: 619 207 4336. Call now: 619 207 4336. Again, 619 207 4336. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781. Subject to lender approval, NMLSconsumeraccess.org. Ron Holland II, Jim, has gone from the G League Ignite to the Detroit Pistons
That's great.
with the 5th overall pick in this year's draft,
which are
means-
probably worse than the G League Unite.
right, exactly. Who would have won? Which means the Charlotte Hornets are on the clock with the 6th overall pick.
Great.
So I'll be watching. Will you throw this on tonight? Seriously,
No.
you're not watching the NBA draft, Mr. Warriors.
No.
Mr. This is how you ended up with Steph Curry and Draymond Green and Klay Thompson. You're too good for it. Too good for Steph.
I'll tune in for the Warriors pick, and that will be it.
Which now you won't even do that because you'll be on social and the Warriors will be like, we picked whomever.
Exactly.
That's how you're going to find out who
I'm
the
not
Warriors.
watching this draft.
So you're putting your foot down on like just this draft. It's more the draft than it is the draft. Does that make sense? Like,
yeah,
it's this class that you're putting your foot down on, not the NBA draft.
And I'm not really like a big sit down and dedicate hours of my life to
You're
a
not
draft
guy.
I
like the drafts.
I like the drafts, but from a standpoint of just like who got drafted, not everything
not the
surrounding.
anticipation.
Yeah,
I'm interested in the draft until my team picks.
Yeah.
Then after that,
There's a lot
I
of
lose
people
all
like that.
interest.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of like, do I really care what the
You know,
Tennessee
like-
Titans do here? Like,
You know,
no.
like, yeah, look at the NFL draft. After the Bears had their second pick at number 9, don't care.
You were
I
done.
shut it off after that.
Yeah, like, hey, when the Niners pick, or if the Niners are like rumored to make a move or something, like when they had the 3rd overall pick and they traded up, I was very invested in that draft up to the 3rd pick, and after that, couldn't care less.
What about the July 14th MLB draft?
Yeah, I'm
Will
gonna
you
have
be
to.
locked in?
I'm gonna probably pass on that one.
Well, that's even worse.
I know because
Those
nobody
guys are
knows who
gonna take
anyone
6,
is.
7 years to develop, and
Yeah, or
you know,
I mean,
if
there's
you
like a
even see
Paul
'em.
Skeens, Bryce Harper, Steven Strasburg type player
Maybe
that breaks. I'm saying if that player
Oh, yeah.
exists, they actually do break through and get up very quickly.
if the Padres had the number 1 overall pick in
Sure,
the draft,
yeah.
very invested,
Right.
or like a top 5 pick, very invested. But I mean, talk to me in 5 years, type of thing.
Yeah, I
like
don't even
or
know what
3
they
years. I mean, Jackson Merrill got drafted in 2021. I don't think anybody was sitting here and be like, Jackson Merrill's the new guy.
Right.
Like, oh, is that Jackson Merrill? That's a good little player.
I think they picked, by the way, 25th.
Whatever.
We'll
Brent,
be
let's get to
tuning
it.
in. Let's
Yeah.
get to it.
We won't. Oh.
Real quick, what do you think of this Hornets pick here at
Brent,
6?
if you could pronounce this guy's name, I'll give you $5 without listening to the
Yeah.
broadcast.
I'd say to Jane Saloon.
To Jane Saloon.
I mean, it's not far off, I think.
but we don't really know.
Well, I can find out. I just got to rewind it. We'll see what Silver calls him.
To Jane Saloon.
Play it on the. Let's play it
I
here
will,
if we
I
have
will.
it. We'll
To-
play it.
To Jane Saloon.
Another
All right.
player out of France. How do we say this guy's name?
To Jane Saloon. That's what we're going with right now.
We
The
hadn't
TV
heard of
would
him until
cooperate.
right now. All right.
Yeah,
whatever.
the TV.
The remote's not working.
Yeah. To Jane Saloon.
There's no way that's his name. There's no chance in hell that's his actual pronunciation of his name.
If
Right?
I still telemarketing, that's what I would call him.
Because there's like a little dot above the U, so that's like an
Yeah.
accent there, and I think he's French, so I'm like, no. To
It's
Jane
definitely
Saloon
French.
does not sound like.
All right, here we go.
All
Here we
right,
go.
All right, here we go. All right, we just
All right, we're gonna listen in.
we're just waiting for this Hornets pick here in San Diego.
3 of the top 6 picks are out of France, including someone we've never heard of. Here we go.
Dun dun dun.
With the 6th pick in the 2024 NBA Draft, the Charlotte Hornets select Tijian Salon.
You guys are so
From
off.
Chauvet,
Tijian
France.
Salon.
How did you
I'm
get
close
that
to the
wrong?
last name.
Tijian Salon. People are pumped in Brooklyn for that pick,
That,
apparently.
that guy wasn't
Yeah.
though. I had to laugh because there's one Hornets fan that had like his hand on his forehead, like, "Oh my god, what did we just do?"
What did
and,
we
then,
do?
and then he knows the camera is on, and then he's like, "Yay!"
All right, let's get to Jim's back page.
So this is a very weird story. Brent, you have the sound that I gave you?
Yeah.
Okay. The Olympics coming up has decided to use AI to recreate Al Michaels' voice for custom recaps during the 2024 Olympics. Guys,
But he's alive.
Al Michaels is still alive, 1. And 2, it's very scary because this is
good.
what AI Al Michaels sounds like.
Ty Kelly, welcome to your daily Olympic recap, your personal rundown of yesterday's most thrilling Olympic moments. since you're a swimming fan. Let's head right to the pool. Team USA secured a stunning victory in the men's 4x100-meter medley relay, smashing the world record. Over at the diving venue, Krista Palmer showcased resilience and skill, overcoming past knee surgeries to qualify for the women's springboard final. Meanwhile, a tough break for Canada's Pamela Ware as a failed final dive scored 0, ending her bid for the final. Check out these highlights from yesterday's action.
Dude, that's amazing. Forget you, Jim. I mean, that sounds better than you do.
I know, it's AI.
So perfect. We'll put that in your chair.
Dude,
you can hang out at home.
That is scary.
That's scary good.
Because it sounds exactly
So
like
they
Al
just
Michaels.
put a script in and boom. And it sounds nice. It sounds good.
Sounds perfect.
Solid.
As long as they're giving Al Michaels some money for it.
It's a good point. I'm sure they are because he works for NBC.
He had to sign off on it, right?
I know. But well, he's not going to voice every pool update.
No. Like,
so they're like, let's just use the AI of you. Wow. That's amazing.
Scary.
Yeah,
good.
It's scary.
Scary. Remember yesterday when I talked about the Harry Potter original cover from the original book, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone?
You said that cover at an auction sold for over $600,000.
No, I would say it would sell for $600,000.
Oh, okay.
Like it was expected to sell between $400,000 and $600,000. It sold
how much?
For 4 times the prior record Potter related item price.
Mm-hmm.
1.92 million.
Come on.
1.92 million.
And the artist doesn't get any of it. The original artist that was commissioned to do this isn't benefiting from the auction sale of
not
their
the
artwork.
auction, not the auction sale. I mean, he was paid to do it, but he's not benefiting.
What did you get? $60?
Yeah, he's not benefiting from this actual sale. I don't know how much the artist is getting, but just that alone, a watercolor picture of Harry Potter from the original 1997 release of Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, $1.92 million.
Amazing.
It's incredible. That's all I got.
No. That's not how it works. Jim's back page is 3 items. The wrap is 4 questions. Jim's back page is 3 items.
And this
Brent,
show's 3 hours.
Yeah, Brent, you want to fill in? Is there anything? Okay, I'll give you one. I'll give you one.
I got one.
No.
I got one. No, I got one.
Can I give you one real quick?
No, I can give you one right now.
Mine's better, but let me hear it.
Mine's better. Sold for a record $3.36 million at auction.
No, it didn't.
Yes, it did.
The Declaration of Independence didn't sell.
The Declaration of Independence, early printing,
but the Declaration of Independence ain't being sold.
$3.36 million.
Can't put a price tag on freedom.
No, that thing's in at some museum. That's not the.
No, it's not. Nicholas Cage stole it, John. You
The
didn't see that
copy,
movie.
the hybrid
Yeah, thank
between
you.
the original and a newspaper printing published in New York in 1776.
All right, mine that Brent had, but I saw earlier today. Toughest venues, road venues in EA Sports College Football 25. What was the toughest venue to play in for EA Sports? Is there top 10?
No,
Was it Michigan, Ohio State, Georgia?
No, I don't remember who it was.
Ah.
I didn't have the list. Hold on.
Hold on. You play the music.
We're done.
I know Boise State was in the top 25. They were the only non-Power 5 program in the top 25. I forget who was number 1. I'm going to guess it's Ohio State or Michigan or Georgia or Alabama. I'm looking it up even though the show is over.
Texas A&M.
Texas A&M, Kyle Field. I'm the 12th man. All right, if you missed anything today, sportsnsd.com. We're back tomorrow at 3 p.m. for Brent and Jim. I'm John. Keep it here at San Diego Sports 760. Okay.
Goodbye.